Somehow, hold on, the mics are borked. I thought we tested this so that it wouldn't be borked when we came here. But okay, there we go. There we go. Now they're fixed. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death. It's been a hot minute. This is why
so professional. Nothing has changed.
In the 6 years we've been doing this. Oh my god, how long has it been? When was episode 1? It's been a while.
Quality content right here.
Yeah, 2013. Oh my god, it's been 9 years? 8 years. Because it was December. It's a long time.
Nice mug.
Oh, thank you. It has my wife's name on it. One of her ESL students, I think, got her this mug. And she loves it because it's like a little grandma mug because it's got Yellowstone National Park on it.
Her name in case she forgets who she is.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's got the bears and the moose and the eagles and whatnot. So
nice.
Yep.
I've got a Portland mug. It's got like the bridges, buildings, trees.
Oh,
there's some drug addicts underneath the bridge here shooting up heroin. They're trashy. Oh wait.
And it's cloudy and overcast.
It's night. It's hard to tell. You can see stars, which is
that's a lie.
The artist has never been to Portland. I think this thing was made in China.
Yeah.
These buildings are way too big.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yep. Well, it's been a hot minute since we played some Dicing with Death.
Not quite 2 years. We couldn't keep our hands off the dice to give you guys the full immersion of a real life time skip, but we did our best.
It's been about 4 months, 4.5 months.
We had a lag or two in there, maybe.
Well, yeah.
Maybe. No, I think you just don't play with me anymore. You've got your new bigwig streamer friends, and and
you've got a baby. You don't even want to hang out with your old friends anymore because you got this new toy. I get it. Moving on. But here we are in Nekkraut. Devon has been gone for 2 years, having recently returned. His friends, companions, workers, family members, and servants and subjects all look on and wonder how he and Moth have been gone for so long. You've gotten your sort of recap of what's happened. Your father-in-law has died. Things have become a little bit more corrupt without really? Devon's influence here. Mm-hmm.
Am I supposed to roleplay all of these surprise reactions? I'm sure there's much.
No.
There's much confusion, disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
What are the stages of grief? I don't know. I think we just skip rejection. All of them and go work in our wizard's tower and push our emotions deep down inside of us.
Of course. The most manly approach to any problem is just ignoring it. And so in his wizard tower, we find Devon with his servants and his apprentices who are adjusting back to what it's like to work with Devon and have a new leader, or, have a leader when there was none for so long. And
I think there was much groveling, apologizing profusely to Devon's wife.
Mm-hmm.
We're leaving her alone with a newborn baby for 2 years.
Yep. Now you've got a child, and you didn't even have to change a diaper.
Oh, we're live now.
Oh. Goodbye.
Oh,
I saw her wave.
Did you see her dino suit?
No, show me the dino suit.
Well,
oh my god, I've seen the dino suit before. That's a good one.
Spikes. This might be a different one. She has a lot of dino suits.
I was gonna say, I don't think the last one I saw was this color.
No.
It's almost worth having a baby just to give them little dinosaur suits.
She's waving. She wants to crawl into the computer screen. All right. Have fun out there.
Okay, it's
jealous.
35 degrees. It's so cold.
But the sun's out. It looks beautiful. I'll enjoy the outside from right here.
Yeah, it's nice here in Boulder too. It's quite nice outside. But we're stuck indoors, so let's make the best of it. Devon, what do you want to do? So much to do, I know.
All on me. I mean,
Well, let's where we last left off, you had been given a warning about Atropos, that she was some sort of what was the term that you
Winter
were
god? Oh, sorry.
Every time I try to introduce some sort of mysterious thing, everyone's like, oh, yeah, it's definitely Winter God, No, Safi, the elf who you were hanging out in the Feywild with, said that she's one of the Dark Ones, one of the forces of nature that drives all people. That she, Atropos, is the reason Devon hasn't reached his full potential, that you've been drained by her and your proximity to her. You also saw in the dream world yourself far above the tower Nekkraut. Safi sees into this dream world as well and is saddened that Devon's people live in such ways. Let me reduce the background music a little bit. There we go. Perfect.
Sounds interesting. I think Devon's main interest is still in uncovering the secrets of the Philosopher's Stone.
Yes. In the dream world, when you were
the elements,
when you were wondering about the Philosopher's Stone, you saw your tower grow in size and turn wooden in nature, eventually turning into a giant staff-like shape. I don't know if that dream world of your tower turning into a staff is directing you where you need to go, or if it's just reflecting what you desire. But that did come up in the Feywild and the Plane of Dreams.
Yes. I think it comes up in Devon's pleading with his wife. He probably tells her of where he was questing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure she scolds him for chasing such, I don't know, futile goals.
Mm-hmm.
Unreasonable, unrealistic. We have problems here on Earth, but all of our problems could be solved if I get a Philosopher's Stone. Just think of the mysteries we would uncover, the wealth that would pour out of Nekkraut.
So many great things that could be achieved. But how do you find this Philosopher's Stone, this chunk of the world staff?
Well, that's why I was in the journeying to the Feywild, but that seemed to be quite a detour. However, in the meantime, I do still have a few elementals to capture, find elemental spirits, and there might be some more practical problems in the 2 years since I've been gone. So maybe at some point there will be a recap, like an in-game recap from someone important in town.
Well, your wife can tell you what's been going on. She has not seen you in a long time. Yours was a political marriage, not one of love and lust and, close emotional connection. So, doing her due diligence, she comes to inform her. There's a term for lord and husband together. King, well, maybe something like that.
Apparently now that the elder has passed.
Yes, but what kingship needs to be claimed. Otherwise, you're just the local leader. What has transpired is that
I wear a crown upon my head, a Serona of filigree. It gives me insights into mysteries of the universe. Yeah, I'm king of something.
One of the things that has happened in your absence is that the wealth of Nekkraut has drawn much attention, and that attention has brought with it bandits and brigands, people who hang out on the roads leaving Nekkraut and look for unwary, unsuspecting people laden with wealth and assault them and take their money and then leave them on the side of the road, disappearing into the hills to collect and count their coins greedily. Shelter Bay has grown. The construction there has finished. The town is, I wouldn't say like fully in its peak, but it has reached that point of accelerated growth where people are moving to Shelter Bay from elsewhere. Merchants and traders from all over this island have come to Shelter Bay. Some have stayed here permanently, others just transient through. Inns and taverns have been set up here with long-term storage, so people can arrive in Shelter Bay, drop off their stuff, travel to Nekkraut, leave their stuff there. Warehouses have been grown. The great serpent in Nekkraut has grown large and fat on the offerings. In your absence, people have looked to your dear serpent friend as like a symbol of power in the region, a symbol that has been very easy for them to sort of pay homage to, give some money to, and then not listen to because it doesn't shout any orders or demand anything of people. And so your fine serpent friend is now quite large, with a lot of money that he wraps himself around. Additionally, and this comes with a little bit of tepidration, I think that's the right word. Your wife has
Trepidation, yeah.
Tepidation. Thank you. Has been the
Trepidation.
Yeah, that's the right word. Has had many a suitor come to woo her and ask for her hand and replace you in the power structure. She pauses when she says this to see how you react to such a
calm exterior masking a unexpected fury. I don't know that Devon has been a particularly passionate man, but for some reason this enrages him. Even if he has been gone for 2 years. All right, none of the suitors are around, are they?
Not here in this house.
Yeah,
she says.
There's like a when, who, where are they?
There is a man here in town. Name is Isaac. She pauses. He comes from far away, from Hearthhome. He has brought with him many men to help carry copper and silver back to Hearthhome, for which he has paid a fair and honorable price. Who's come to sample the area. He's bought up much of the wine from your own vineyards and delivered us much gold. He's presently in the inn down the street, I believe, or at least that's where he has made base with his many accompanying retinue. She sifts uncomfortably, the baby on her knee, bouncing. I guess it's 2 now. I don't know if you still bounce a 2-year-old on your knee, but...
You can bounce a 2-year-old, but they probably mostly just run around on the ground, causing a ruckus. Are we in the tower, or is there like a manor house?
This is in your home.
Yeah.
She looks to the...
Devon weighs paying this Isaac a visit, and he is treated with you directly? Often?
He has made many gifts and bribes and flattering words, and his intentions have been quite clear. He wishes to wed with me, adopt our dear child here, she says, bouncing the kid on her knee, and take over a position of importance managing imports and exports out of Nekkraut. He has resources and connections in the west to move materials and facilitate trade.
Devon like twitches and is like flexing and clenching his fist. I assume you told him this is out of the question. as you are already wed, and the boy already has a father.
My husband was dead.
Was he?
Seemingly gone for 2 years without a word. I mean, only a year and a half at the time that he approached.
Surely you have more faith in me. Hopefully she's wise enough to not answer that.
She just sits there holding the kid who is squirming away, eventually, dropping to the floor and bop, 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 into a wall and then on the ground. She goes over and picks up the kid who begins to whine a little bit. Now, Devon, you're here. I'm sure things can be set right. Nothing permanent has been done.
Seems there's much to set right.
And
Is there a law code at all in Nekkraut? Has such a thing been established?
No, there's no written down set of rules or laws. Any problems in the past that came up were just brought to your father-in-law, who is the de facto and de jure leader, and he would adjudicate any problems based on his own sense of right and wrong. In his absence, though, that has fallen to his wife, and there have been enough issues that have come up that she has delegated some of these tasks, some of these oversights of the town, to a group of 3 people that she has called judges, who will just use their own intuition and opinion in the matter to, declare what is right and wrong.
Over time, I'm sure this will change, and there will be a legal code of Nekkraut etched in stone and stored in the library in the tower. But I guess that is yet to be. There will likely be some conflicts between Devon and these judges as he maybe takes justice into his own hands. But we shall see.
Sensing
back to these brigands. Have the Romulans been keeping the road safe? They've been taking care of things?
Under escort of Romulans, traders are not molested or attacked. But the brigands are smart enough not to assault the Romulans, and so they are still out there. And those too cheap or too poor to pay for protection do still find themselves the subject of raiders. But that is the cost of business, the cost of success, I suppose, as other people nipping at your heels, trying to take what is yours.
No, it does not have to be. Clearly, this must be dealt with. Rising tide raises all ships. And our rising hills ought to fill all of our coffers with precious gems and metals. There's no reason there should be brigands in the hills resorting to thievery.
Well, they are scattered about in small numbers all over the place. Their faces unknown. How one would root out all the brigands in the land is beyond my simple homemaker's thoughts, she says, with a little bit of acid in her voice.
That she would have some opinions and send Devon on a more straightforward quest.
No, she seems tense and concerned, a little frustrated, and a little what's the word? Bitter? What? Of all the problems that plague our lands, though, I think the brigands are the least of our worries. I am more concerned about some of these judges. My mother, your mother-in-law, has appointed them, and upon appointment they were wise and judicious, but they have grown quite wealthy. since their appointment a year and change ago. Originally ordinary folks.
How have they grown wealthy? Are they?
She shrugs.
Have they been granted a salary?
They have been granted a salary, not enough to explain their large homes and great assets. How they acquire their wealth, I do not know, but they seem to have made quite a bit of money. I wonder if there is bribery, or if there are gifts, or what is the situation.
On size. Who are these judges? Anyone that I knew?
Your old craftsman, the one who has helped build your towers and your homes, is the first of the judges.
Heifer?
No, not Heifer. I was really hoping you'd remember his name.
Oh, Akitos.
Akitos is one of the judges. And then she lists two other names, people you have not heard before. A woman named Rain and a old man named Ulra.
Newcomers?
No. Rain was what do you call her? A weaver. Has been in this town for some, since birth.
Lies. I don't say that to her, but how would a shepherd not know a weaver in Nekkraut? Your plot holes are exposed, DM.
That's true. A shepherd. I forgot that you were a shepherd, a lowly shepherd. Okay, so yeah, I guess you do know Rain. But you don't know her personally. You've just heard of her. When you left, she was just one of these lower-ranking weaver people of no note and importance. You'd worked with her parents, who were like running the home business.
Sorry,
but now she's been appointed to judge.
Yes, I know Rain.
And Ulra, who you are sort of aware of. He's like an old man that was someone's parent somewhere in town, but he was too old to do any work anymore, so he was just living and chilling and hanging out. You have had no cause to really interact with him in the past.
This sounds wrong. I don't know that I necessarily object to a man of law becoming wealthy as his domain grows in wealth, but for a lawman to be wealthy while brigands and run rampant and unprosecuted. Seems quite the hypocrisy. Why should they be rewarded for not doing their jobs?
Perhaps you should speak to them. Oh, great leader.
You are my wife. You don't need to use honorifics.
Just trying to remind my lord husband of his duties. If you are to lead, perhaps some leadership should be shown.
Is leadership my duty? This, your father was the elder. I will speak to these judges and root out this corruption. Perhaps it is some of the other news you have shared, but I am feeling a bit rash. I'm not sure if I will make the most judicious decisions. But I think with that, Devon will leave, and instead of going to his tower, go to follow up on the political intrigues and corruption.
To the judges
Akitos first,
or to Isaac?
Okay. The judges, yeah. I don't know about Isaac. Devon is at least aware enough of his passions to know that he's not likely to make rational decisions. Perhaps paths will cross, fates will weave, but he's not about to go make a rash decision.
All right. To Akitos, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. Okay. You head down the road and sure enough come across Akitos' old house, the quaint little brick building in which he has been living all this time. And you can find hanging out in the doorway people that you don't really recognize. Well, maybe that woman looks kind of familiar, but the other people here don't. It's definitely not Akitos and his family. They seem to have vacated their old dwelling and gone elsewhere. You can ask directions to his new place if you would like.
Yeah, Devon will approach and speak to whoever's there.
Yeah.
Hello. I'm looking
Lord
for
Devon.
Akitos.
Oh my God, you're back.
Do they recognize me, or like? No, sorry, do I recognize them, or they just recognize me?
The woman, you sort of recognize her as one of those faces you've seen in town before. She gives you a formal and a deep bow, not particularly stiff, and as she looks back up at you, her eyes gleam with pride and hope. She seems to be genuinely happy to see you.
Standing in the threshold, he's like putting his hand on the side of the building.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for Akitos.
Oh, this is the home of the great Judge Akitos, but he has sold it to us. He lives, she points, up the hill, behind the manor of your own now, back behind the tower, to the northeast.
Looks up the hill. What does he see behind his tower?
Yeah, there's a couple of houses up there, including a fairly large manor house that she's pointing to. It's still only like a single-story house. It's made out of mud brick, but it sort of sprawls and has these great like awnings that hang over all the walkways, and there's like a collection of tables and chairs.
Is it sitting above the tower?
It's not above the height of the tower. It is just like back behind it on like a slightly different hill that rises a little bit. The height of the tower still exceeds the height of the house, but the floor of the house is higher up than the height of the floor of the tower. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Where does the orchard fit into all this? I'll go investigate in a second. For now, I'm going to wrap up this interaction. I think I I'm like got my hand on the threshold of the door, and I like look and I see like Akitos's sign in one of the bricks above the threshold or something. And I say, sold? He built this house with his own hands.
And I am honored to have it.
I see the justice has grown ambitious, forgotten his roots, the mud from which he grew. Good day to you. Divine blessings be upon you. And Devon will, I guess, head up the hill.
She bows deeply and calls, "Mending blessings to you too," as you disappear.
It's probably the tower is probably on the way, right? As is the vineyard. I think he'll first go to the tower for at least a little time, catch up with his apprentices, with the library. Their perspective on things, and probably glower out the tower windows at Akitos' estate.
As you glower at Akitos' estate, you can see a group of 8 people leaving it. Led by a man resplendent in like dark blue cloak that follows him with silver trim. He's got like a fancy belt with all these like precious metals around the sides. At his hip is a scabbard made out of red leather, studded with probably not jewels, but like precious rock, semi-precious stones across it. His entourage follows behind him fairly closely. Of the 7 people,
recognize the
No idea who this person is. But of the 7 people following him, 4 are warriors. 1 appears to be a scribe of some kind, and 2 others are who knows what their positions are.
Are any of my apprentices nearby, or am I like alone on one of the upper floors?
They're all within shouting range.
I don't shout, but if one of them is like over my shoulder, I would ask, who are those?
No, you've rolled a 1 on your luck check. There are no apprentices nearby.
I think I just glower and like feel very confused and out of my element. It's only been a week since I've been here, and it's like I'm in a strange land.
Mm-hmm.
I think since in the instant that that woman that bought Akitos' house mentioned that Akitos moved, Devon had a flashing vision of tearing spires, mountains from the earth, and just raising the hills right underneath Akitos' mansion and letting it crumble as it may. But he feels like he should probably have some words first. He'll go down and like check in casually with the apprentices. If Moth hadn't, she's probably already done this, but she's to return to the library and document all that we learned about the Feywild. Make some sense of our observations, add them to our collection.
That is indeed what Moth has been spending her time doing. It is a bit awkward coming back when you've been gone so long, and she finds solace in her work. And that her work is told to her directly by you, and that can't be the wrong thing to do. So without knowing what else to occupy her time, she is diligently taking notes, comparing them, scribing them.
Where are the other apprentices?
Let's see. Cassandra is here in the tower right now. Soy, you will hear, it has left town recently on a mission out to Hearthhome to gather information and to, see what's happening over there.
Very well. Is Cassandra like here? I can talk to her and get an update.
Yeah.
I will, unless I like show up and she's like wearing a giant wizard's hat and kicking her feet up on the desk. So I will probably.
No, she's polite and respectful.
Thank her for looking after the tower while I've been gone.
Of course. Many people doubted that you would ever return. I knew one day you would come back. I've kept the tower as you liked it. I've kept it from those who would have bought what lies within.
Suitors have come here as well. I saw a scribe in the hills with accompanied by a spear of warriors. Is this one of ours? What other men of letters exist in this town?
Foreigners, my dear, my lord. Foreigners from far away who have come to observe, to write, to purchase what we have here.
Devon looks around the library. Has its collection grown significantly?
It has grown, not as significantly as you might have hoped. In your absence, the work has not been as prodigious.
And they do not bring their knowledge with them?
They are here to purchase. Less so to sell. I've made purchases I can, but
purchase is this is a library. Our currency is knowledge. I understand, and sometimes in the interest of expediency, other currencies may do, but I think we should endeavor to trade knowledge for knowledge.
Young Asoy is on her way to do just that, my lord. She's left for Hearthhome to take notes and observe the areas and surrounding towns and cities and monsters and nobles and bring back a ledger full of notes. Let me show you the things we have done in your absence, she says, trying to win your favor. And
how has Asoy's training been in my long absence? Has she mastered the elemental fists? And I understand it's been 2 years.
without a proper instructor, and as much as I wish I could be, that is not me, she has resorted to her own intuition to develop her spells and skills. I don't know if she's ever mastered the elemental fists, but she has tapped into some sort of raw source of magic that has great power and little control.
Soy was the one whose spirit was tangled with mine, right? She was the one who I used as a vessel for that elemental jar.
I do believe so.
Yeah. What was that? What was the first element?
Wind, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's a smoke quartz around my neck.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, when I think of it, I can probably feel the elemental pulsing within.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she's... Alright, in any case.
Cassandra shows you to the...
I follow Cassandra. She's probably irritated that I'm asking about a soy, but...
yeah, she brings you to notes about the local region, this bottom section of this peninsula out here. There are notes on the creatures of the brackish fen, about the red hills. All the towns and villages throughout this area have been accounted for and described in detail, including lords and leaders and industries, names of fathers and fathers and fathers before. We've done quite well with this region. I think everything that there is to know has been discovered, or at least all of the secrets that are within my range to describe.
Very well, but this region is not all there is to know. And what you see of this region, points to the map and the lineages, is not all there is to this region. These hills are made of earth. Veins of mineral extend all the way to the world staff. As Moth has seen, the fen borders on Fae. There is always more to learn.
Of course, I didn't mean to.
But this is good. The tower stands, our library grows, and your studies? Your powers?
Unfortunately, someone had to administer to the tower and those that would come and go, see to its daily operations. I have not had as much time to my studies as I would have liked.
Was our librarian not a suitable public face? I think she glances up to the frog demon sitting on one of the bookshelves or something in his little nook in the corner.
Our dear librarian has been extremely useful. When men came to take knowledge, they were quickly rebuked, and never was an attempt made again. However, let us say that the librarian does not do very well with pleasant visitors and keeping track of accounting, resupplying.
Yeah, perhaps you need some additional help. Well, Moth is back, but you must not neglect your true studies for these mundane tasks. I probably more than anyone understand the balance there, but we have a gift. It is our duty to the world to develop it as fully as possible. Do not neglect your magic and become one of these house wizards.
She breathes a heavy sigh of relief. I have waited 2 long years to be able to fully devote myself to my studies, and now that you have returned, I hope that is what can come again. She looks hopefully at you.
Devon nods. Perhaps we need some more mundane scribes and sages of our own to take care of the day-to-day bookkeeping.
At least a dearth of people coming to visit and take would be nice.
Well, for now, you have Moth.
She beams.
Moth was always the more bookish type, right? Like,
Yeah.
She was more into the library and stuff. So at the very least,
Moth can handle most of the work that Cassandra has been doing. Probably not all of it, since she'll still be working with you, but that does open up
I
Cassandra
think the only
to
reason
study.
we brought Moth to the Feywild was because she was the bookish type to keep notes, and she also tended to miss out on a lot of the adventures. Devon will leave the tower and walk up the hills. I think when he left, like, his tower was on the edge of town, and it was just like the vineyards in the hills beyond. But now, stepping out of his tower, walking up the Quanat, or past the Quanat. Do we see, is Platos nearby, or is he, like...
Platos is
underground,
nearby.
and he's visible?
Yeah, he's got a large home that runs right next to the river, right, where the Quanat comes out, actually a little bit downriver of where the Quanat comes out. The stream / river flows right past his home, and there's a road that runs right past it too. His domicile has sort of been built up a little bit, but you can see his tail sticking out one end of the house, big and fat, grown long with time.
If I recall last we left, his house was building down, not out. Right, like catacombs were evolving underneath the river and underneath the tower.
And in your absence, it has also grown a little bit wider. Who knows what its depths may be now, but it is a larger building. It appears that there's even like rooms, like fully sheltered rooms that visitors, people who would come to pay tribute or homage, can rest within the shelter of the home to visit Platos now.
Right. And anyways, Devon walks past us for now, taking a moment to admire Platos's growing girth. And past the Quanat up to the vineyard, which is probably, it sounds like it's producing wine and is much more impressive than when we left.
Yep. I've forgotten his name, but the old drunk Vinnie has made good on his promises. The vineyards flow over hills and stretch out now beyond what you can see. They go down the hill and up the next one, and they seem to go down the one beyond, but you can't see their end. There is a large group of people walking through them, tending to the vines, plucking weeds, watering here or there as needed, fixing the framework on which the vines grow.
Devon cuts through the vineyard, heading towards Akitos's new residence. But if he sees Uncle Vinnie, he'll stop and chat. If it's just like workers in the fields, he'll
Yeah, Uncle Vinnie is out here. He's sitting atop a donkey with a big sack of wine in one hand, a wide-brimmed hat over his head, one hand on the saddle to sort of steady himself as he drinks from the other, and then, blusters orders at the people in the field. His back is to you at this moment, but you can make him out enough when he turns in profile.
Devon, cutting through the field, initially beelining it for Akitos's. He'll turn and approach Vinnie on the donkey, and come and stand next to him. I don't know if Vinnie will act surprised. Maybe he's chill, casual, and
Lord
drunk.
Devon, it's so good to see you again. I'd heard you'd come back. I thought you had died. Thought you were eaten by a troll. Takes a sip of wine. Look how your vineyards have done in your absence, my lord.
Yeah, the fruits of your labor.
Quite literally.
See it come to fruition.
Yes.
Does he hand Devon the wineskin?
If you look to the wineskin, he immediately pushes it in your direction. Please sample of the. Devon
has a sip.
It is a...
Hold on. We haven't rolled any dice yet. Tell me about the wine.
It's a crisp and refreshing white wine. Clears the palate, goes down smoothly. Just enough sweetness to taste nice without being, so sugary as to sour to make you shake your head. Yeah. Personally, I don't drink a lot of wine, so I don't know how to quite describe it, but that sounds like how wine tastes.
If I started a brewery, would you do better, or does it need to be like a rum distillery or something?
Yeah, if it was a brewery or a rum distillery, I could help you out a little bit more, but I don't drink a lot of wine.
Sure. All right. Yeah, so we've remarked at the vineyard, and then I will comment, it seems you have some new neighbors. Is Akitos the only estate that I can see from this hill, or are there other estates popping up in the hills?
There are some other small buildings. I wouldn't call them estates. Small houses up here in the hills. He bobs his head up and down. Yes, the great and mighty Judge Akitos has moved his residence up here. Too many people crowding around his door in the morning. He was getting in the way of the roads down there, so he moved his residence up here, so when lines form, they don't get in the way of the town. Well, great many gifts have been made to great Judge Akitos. Great many honors and suitors have come.
He's such a great judge. Why do our hills crawl with lawlessness? Brigands and thieves.
Judges do not stop brigands, my lord. They simply adjudicate issues and debates within the town. There's no authority in the hills or men at arms to which to deploy.
Vaughn takes another sip and hands the skin back.
Yeah, he looks twice over at someone, looks like he's about to shout at them, and calms himself and returns his attention to you. But you can tell that he's
Vaughn's about to leave.
Yeah, he's got people to talk to.
People to yell at. Nods his goodbye and continues walking up the hill through the vineyard to Akitos's new estate.
Sure enough, you can see a line of people standing in the shade of one of these overhangs outside Akitos's front door. A man-at-arms in golden or glistening bronze armor with a breastplate and a shield and a spear and a helmet with like stiff horsehair bristles running up and down it stands at the doorway, keeping the line in order.
Is the house made of mud? Does it look like Akitos built it, or?
It looks like it is made of mud bricks and timbers.
Devon approaches.
The guard gives you a stiff and rigid salute.
Does the guard look like a Romulan or someone new?
Yeah. Give me a charisma check. See if you can recognize this person. You don't remember this person's name, but you have seen this Romulan about. You've seen them in the town of Romulus way back when.
Yeah. What was Remus their leader? Were we that basic? Okay.
We were that basic.
This was one of Remus's men?
Yes.
Okay. So he recognizes Devon, gives him a nod.
Gives you a snappy salute and throws open the large wooden door for you. The people in line who are next do not complain. They recognize Devon.
Devon walks in.
You can walk in and see that there are a pair of people standing in the great hall that the door opens into, behind which, or in front of them, further towards the back, is a chair, a simple mud brick chair built on the flat of the ground in which Akitos sits, leaning forward quite intently, listening to the arguments of the two people here. Akitos sort of lifts his head to shout at the interruption when he sees you, and jumps to his feet, immediately quieting the people before him and bursting between them to come, and looks like he's about to wrap his arms around you in a big embrace, and in the last moment drops to one knee and dips his head before you.
Yeah. Devon was kind of hoping to hear what was going on, get a taste for what sorts of cases this guy's been seeing, but... Rise, Akitos, right? It's fine.
He gets to his feet.
He looks. Pardon my interruption. What's going on here? He looks to the two people.
A dispute over a property line, my lord. Someone had moved this marking stones, marking the spots where their property lines diverged, and they could not come to an agreement upon where the stones ought to be. You look to the two people. One of them, you don't know their name, but you recognize them as one of the people that lived in one of the nearby villages, not Nekkraut proper, but something nearby. The other person you don't recognize at all.
Are these property lines not recorded anywhere?
Large marking stones are supposed to stay in place. Unfortunately, they were moved. I'm not sure how one would record the lines on the ground without putting a rock on the ground to show where they belong.
With a pen and paper and a sharp mind.
Well, you always did know best. Would you like to oversee this case? I fear now that you are here, I may no longer be needed as judge. To which one of the people, the one you don't recognize, immediately snaps, excuse me, you, dear judge, are the only person worthy of seeing these concerns. I came to you because I know you to be a most wise man. Whoever is this stranger coming into your house can surely not rule on this issue. I have spent too much time on this to be judged by some weird-looking stranger with a funny hat round his head.
Hat. So, anyways, Devon looks at this man, somewhat placidly. Justice cannot be swayed with flattery.
Of course not. Only a dishonest man would try to subvert justice. That's why we've come to Akitos. Great and wise man that he is, he would never be swayed by flattering words or coins in his pocket.
Devon kind of looks around. Are there signs of wealth?
Yeah, there's a pair of servants standing nearby, one with like a vase of wine, one with a vase of water. You know, the different colors of the vases let you know what's in them. There's like artwork hanging on the walls that's clearly been imported. The house is like 5 times bigger than Akitos. Like, this room is as big as Akitos's old house was.
Yeah. Who originally granted this land? Devon looks to Akitos. I think I recognize
Helen? Is her name Helen? Is that your wife?
Oh, Helen is my wife.
What's your wife's mother's name? Oh man, it's been so long.
I don't know. Doesn't matter. But
yeah, she's the one.
To whom? I think I recognize you, Devon says to the neighboring villager. Is this land in question your ancestral home? Or
ancestral? No, it was just open hill land that had not been used. There were problems with lines forming in the streets, blocking people and trade and passage. The great master of coin told me to move my house and offered me any open land. I picked this place behind the tower to be out of the way and to remind people that we all sit in the shadow of the Tower of Devon.
I suspect you have a similar story, Devon says to the other one, and then probably cuts him off unless he has something extremely compelling to say, and says and asks, is there anything of value on this property line? Can you not simply sprawl out further into the hills and take as much land as you need?
Both of them perk up at this. We would be happy to let you draw a line on the ground if we could extend our property further east.
We are fortunate to live in such plentiful times. The hills stretch on, largely untilled, unclaimed. I think we can come to some arrangement.
Akitos leans in close. Oh, but he waits for you to finish speaking.
Yeah. If there's not a conflict on the further end of one of your property lines, we can simply add a land grant, extend one of your properties the length of the disputed territory further into the hills.
Akitos leans in. Lord Devon, that land once granted can never be taken back. Surely, if we're going to grant land, we should charge some sort of fee. The lands belong to Nekkraut, after all. It can't just be given to people.
The people are Nekkraut, and
what about that man? He hails from over the sea.
He comes here and lives by our values. He is of Nekkraut as well, and land is plentiful.
Oh.
These hills grow from the elemental earth itself. If we run out of resources, we will simply dig our hills higher.
There is, much agreement over this situation, and people seem quite pleased with this arrangement.
Yeah, I guess the door was probably open for this, and people outside are like, "Oh, he's just giving away land. Let me get some too."
Yeah. Akitos tells them that they should come back another day, and lines will be drawn and parcels given out. And then makes a quick step to dismiss the other people gathered outside, and tells them to return another time. When he comes back, his head is slightly damp as rain clouds.
Devon gestures for the guard to step inside.
The guard steps inside.
If mostly to Akitos, but he wanted the guard to overhear some of this. If we are to extend Nekkraut into the hills, the safety of our people is of utmost importance. One cannot abide by brigands and lawlessness existing on our roads and in our lands. And I think now it's just Akitos, Devon, and this guard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have no qualms. In fact, I wish for us all to grow wealthy off the resources of our lands. But it seems wrong to me for a judge to grow rich, adjudicating the laws when the laws are not upheld in our own hills. If our people are not all flourishing, if trade is not flourishing, then and we should not flourish.
Akitos stands there a little bit stunned to be dressed down in front of his own soldier.
His soldier? I mean, like, he didn't never spoken. Devon definitely doesn't see this guy as his soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Although he's, about to mention that. Have there been any prosecutions of brigands, thieves, highwaymen? Why is this fine soldier guarding your front door when the real criminals are in the hills? And up to the soldier, he says, "Not that you haven't earned some rest and time in the shade, but."
Good Lord, Devon! In your absence, we have had to come up with our own ways of running things here, and your mother-in-law has appointed me judge, and as such, I need a certain amount of protection. Things have been difficult while you've been gone, and people do not always agree with my rulings. Some have tried to hurt me, have tried to strike back at me, and he will lift his shirt on the side and show you a scar across his ribs. Attempts on my life have been made. How am I supposed to do justice if I fear the man with the sword?
Perhaps you should make better rulings. Not entirely warranted, but anyways.
Mm-hmm.
It hardly seems that you should be ruling on land disputes, property lines, when there are criminals in our midst. I want these highway robberies investigated, prosecuted, and until our roads are safe and trade pours in, it is not right for us with power to grow wealthy while people suffer.
I agree. I am very pleased to have your return. There has been much questions of who leads and who is in charge in your absence. That is why the great master of coin appointed 3 judges to oversee matters of civil issues. There's been much debate over who should run soldiers, military operations, issues of might. The strong men of the area, strong fighters of the area have found their own ways of making their money. They hire themselves out as mercenaries to locals rather than working for any issue of state. Master of Coin thought it best not to hire soldiers herself. At least she positioned herself as a queen in the zone.
If we do not do right by these men of steel, they will make their own way, resort to brigandry. I don't know the solution, but leaving them to turn into sell spears hardly seems like a prudent choice.
Well,
Devon steps outside, or steps towards the exit. Seems you're ill-equipped to track and draw these property lines. I wonder if this is better suited for the Mistress of Coin, perhaps with the aid of a scribe. Who's that scribe that I saw leaving this morning?
Ponders for a moment. Oh, the scribe. I did not catch the scribe's name, but she was a servant of Isaac.
Devon like twitches at hearing this name.
One of the great power brokers in the area from Hearthhome has been a source of great trade and wealth coming to and from Nekkraut in your absence. I do believe Akitos, looking to like quell your anger and move it somewhere else, like points over the horizon. I do believe on the other side of town that is Isaac's new estate being constructed. You can see workers, working on the second floor of the house, hauling up mud bricks and fresh timbers.
Nekkraut is the source of wealth, and there is but one power. And I think with that cryptic wisdom, Devon will start walking down the hill.
Mm-hmm.
While you've been we need to role play this, but he will visit his mother-in-law, the mistress of coin, and try to arrange for someone else to draw property lines. Maybe even Moth, but I think eventually we need some like non-wizard bookkeepers, scribes, whatever.
What you need are people with education and training, people who can read and write and use like a compass and draw proper lines and find a way to like calculate them so that the lines can be recreated from notes. You need an engineer.
This will be challenging with Devon tearing mountains from the very ground itself and rearranging the property lines willy-nilly.
Mm-hmm. These will be problems for subordinate NPCs to solve.
Yeah, but I think it may initially get hoisted onto Moth's plate, unless she bogs too much. At least like the record keeping. So I think unless this is something we need to role play, if we do need to talk with my mother-in-law, I think I'll say that walked in on Akitos handling a property line to speak pretty poorly. They're marking out property lines with rocks that can be picked up and moved on a whim. So from now on, she should be responsible, and my library can take responsibility for like maintaining and keeping these property records.
Mm-hmm. I think as you travel about, you'll find all manner of problems that just there was a lack of central authority to decree a certain approach, and so haphazard temporary solutions were implemented that became sort of permanent solutions. Much of this, you with your, what is your int, like 17 or something?
I think 16.
Yeah, you with your 16 int can see the solutions. And as more and more problems become visible, you realize you could handle all of these things yourself, but it would just take a lot of time to manage all the problems. You will need to delegate these tasks, and you will need brilliant people to do them well. You do have 3 apprentices. Most of these could be done by that, but that would leave them little time to their studies.
I think we need like an educated middle class scribes or something. So.
Well, if only we knew a person of means and wealth and education who has access to a middle class.
I'm not sure what you're referencing.
Well, after visiting your mother-in-law, whose name we should probably come up with since I can't find it in any notes anywhere.
It's got to exist somewhere, right?
I actually think it's your grandmother-in-law, technically.
No. What? No.
Wasn't
the elder's the late elder's wife?
Yeah, and you married his granddaughter.
Oh, I did?
I think so.
Oh.
Because he was an elder and she was like your age in her 20s or something.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a minor point.
Well then, this seems like a good spot to take a break.
absolutely. We'll be back on the other side as Devon sorts out what's happening in his lands and maybe pays a visit to some of these strangers. See you on the other side of our break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death.
Just a second.
We're here with just me now. We were ready. I swear we were ready for a moment. So Devon is going to go through Nekkraut. Oh, okay, there we go. So Devon, you've talked with the Master of Coin. If we haven't given this woman a name, and I'm pretty certain we have, we'll call her Lady Temides for now. But I'm pretty sure as soon as McTacky...
Temides could be the last name, but it's
oh, yeah, there we go.
Somewhere.
Yes. She's taken the last name of Temides now that she is the Master of Coin. There we go. Clever Ryan. Way to do it. After your visit to Akitos' house, gentle rain clouds appeared overhead, giving the Red Hills one of the few rainy days it gets a year. Very light sprinkling falls from the sky. People seek shelter. The town quiets down. The roads begin to get muddy. You visited the Master of Coin. You visited the Vineyards. You visited one of the 3 judges. You've taken a look at other things here and there, problems that you have seen within the city. You've had a couple of people approach you and talk to you about what's happened. Some grateful that you're back. A few people angry that you left and have returned now, saying things like, "You're throwing everything into chaos. Why can't you just stick around?" And then wandering off immediately before having to deal with your reprisals. All in all, from your observations, the town has grown. It has grown in size, in population, in wealth. And you do see a couple of things that I don't know how you would feel about. You know, one of the little shops off the main road seems to be a little casino, a gambling den, depending on how you want to, the implications you want to provide. Other
fine.
such, you know, what do you call them? Vices appear to be flourishing in the town. There is a liquor shop that sells imported liquors from the far northwest, from Hearthhome. They sell gin that they make with the juniper berries that grow on the hills to the east of Hearthhome. It's quite expensive, but the little shop has been set up and some of the more wealthy people can be seen buying it or sending their servants to purchase. Where are you going, Devon? Is there something specific you wish to do? Are you going to visit the suitor of your wife, this Isaac guy?
Not yet. I don't think so. I can go out of my way to. I think I'll wait for that to come to a head, or for our paths to cross. Maybe we should do some actual wizard stuff. Conjure some elementals and steal their souls.
Yes. You can make your way.
What else there's to do? Search for the Philosopher's Stone.
You make
things.
Yeah. You make your way back to your tower. The issues of the day dealt with.
It's probably the end of the day, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So we were 2 years ago, put word out looking for particular gemstones for elementaling.
Yes, and in those 2 years, the particular gemstones that you needed have all arrived at your doorstep and been paid for by Cassandra, who has overseen the regulations and upkeep of the castle of the tower. As soon as you ask for them, she leads you to a wooden box that she has had made, lined with a soft green felt, and in it are set the 3 other gemstones that you needed, with a place for the 4th one that is round your neck currently, should you wish to put it in the box.
Okay. So there's probably, I think we're looking for alternatives could have worked, but like a fire opal, an aquamarine or something. And then the earth one seemed a little like, it seems like every gemstone is earth, but maybe like magnetite or...
Yeah, magnetite is probably...
Really
I was going to
earthy.
say hematite, but magnetite sounds nicer.
Same. Iron oxides. Lodestone would just be...
A lodestone is
magnetic.
better. Yeah. Is that the difference between magnetite and hematite? Is that one of them is magnetic and the other's not?
Maybe that's the observable property, but different oxidation state, different crystal structure.
Okay, I'm asking the layman, Ryan, not the material science engineer. Yeah. Sure, there are slightly differences, but they're iron oxide, and one is arranged with all its poles facing one way, and the other's going in different directions.
Yeah. We'll save that lecture for another day.
Nice. Okay. Well, nothing will get the town back on track like the Grand Wizard working his great and terrible magics. Nothing could possibly remind these people of who's truly in charge other than, the great works being done.
I think we probably need to do this out in the brackish fen, unless we want to put the fear of gods in these people by summoning elementals in the middle of town.
Mm-hmm.
Just like old times.
Mm.
Did I need all 3 apprentices to do the soul juggling? That might not have been necessary. Let's see.
I think you brought all 3 because it was your first time and you weren't sure what you needed. And you brought them all to oversee everything.
Let me see if I can find that wonderful animated GIF. Unknown title. Devon tests out the magic jar spell. Does this have the GIF or just the explanation? There's no GIF linked in the wiki, I don't think.
Yeah.
Shifts himself into the... I guess I just needed 1, right? Like Devon into a soy into the magic jar. Devon in a soy's body, conjuring the elemental, casting another magic jar to shift his own soul into quartz. Yeah, so I think it's just 1 apprentice is necessary. So we can do this without a soy. Oh, here's the gift. I just missed it. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's really just...
So Devon goes into jar 1. A soy goes into... Then Devon goes into a soy, and she goes into jar 1. Devon goes into jar 2. Elemental goes into jar 2. A soy goes back to herself. Devon goes to jar 1, and then back home. And the air elemental is trapped in the second jar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do need pretty much max MP to do this, so I will need to rest and study and make my plans and figure out which apprentices get which elements. So a soy has already got air. In theory, I could probably... I could probably repeat this with the same apprentices ad nauseum, right? And just tangle our souls all up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I was going to do each apprentice in turn, and then not sure what to do with the 4th element. But
well, a soy is gone, so it's either Moth or it's Cassandra.
Yeah. They're probably around when I'm making these plans. Are they at all squeamish about the about the prospect of repeating these. I mean, I guess Cassandra's had more time to come to grips with it, right? She's had 2 years to process all of this. For Moth, this happened like 2 weeks ago, and it's probably still very traumatic.
Yeah, Moff is a little bit more squeamish about these things. Moff is a little bit more bookish, a little bit more, I want to learn the theory, and Cassandra's more like, I want to be a great mage like Devon. If that means playing with swapping souls, then I am in. And she's also seen a Soy who has done well in your absence and has, found herself with new powers that she is divining herself out of the thin air. You can sense a little bit of jealousy in Cassandra's talking about Asoy. That's always been there a little bit. Asoy's always been a little bit more bold and maybe a little bit more capable. And there's always been that tension between the two of them. In your absence, however, it appears that Asoy has kind of, I don't want to say gone renegade, but has set her own tone, has not wanted to do the upkeep of the town, and has been more experimenting and sort of following the path of the magician, while Cassandra took the path of the administrator to manage everything. And there is a certain jealous tone, a certain envious tone in Cassandra's voice when she speaks of Asoy. Cassandra would be quite happy to undertake this project with you.
Yeah. Do we have a feel for what element speaks to her? We've got earth and water. Say fire. Maybe I'll use my wife for fire. Does that seem like a bad plan? Maybe wife for earth. I don't know. I'm yeah. He probably asks Moth and Cassandra this if any of the elements speak to them.
Cassandra says the aquamarine water speaks to her.
Mm-hmm.
We got this stone before you left. It's been here and ready for you. Other aquamarines have been found, and she lifts the case, and there's some other loose stones on the bottom, under the area where the main stones are held within the box. But this stone, this is the one that I was left with when you were gone, and I have grown fond of it, she says, sort of turning it over in her hands. It sat on my desk for a long time before this box was made.
Is it ready? Is it suitable? Or do we need to have a heifer?
I think it is ready. I've made it as best as I can, but of course you should overlook it first.
Devon nods. No. I trust you.
Yeah, Cassandra's done a good job. You can look at the stone. It's well carved. It's got all the things that you need to it. It's nicely polished.
Magic jar reads like Ryan wrote it. Like the caster shifts his life force into a special receptacle, a gem or large crystal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's up to the DM and the wizard what is a special enough soul gem to use magic jar on.
A well-crafted, well-cut, well-polished aquamarine gemstone about yay big is more than enough.
And I think for this particular use of the magic jar to capture an elemental soul, although I mean maybe the gemstone matching the elements is more for further uses, right? Like having a water elemental trapped in an aquamarine will make it more suitable for future magical item creation.
Mm-hmm. Now, one
probably
needs to summon the water elemental and contain it while the magic jar spell can be cast.
Yeah, it's probably safest to do this in the magic circle.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So after resting for some time, you gather forth your 2 apprentices and head to the Brackish Fen, or are you going to leave Moth behind to...
Does she want to come? I guess we only need...
Oh yeah, she totally wants to come. The record of this should be written down by a third party, a neutral observer, while it is happening, and then those notes can be compared with the notes of the people who experienced it themselves, and a true, as objective as possible record could be kept. If only we could also talk to the soul of the water elemental and get its opinion and perspective on the happenings, and our records could be more complete. But I don't know how one could speak with the water elemental. I suppose they could speak, she murmurs to herself.
And they can speak. I've spoken with the elements.
She jots down these notes, gets prepared to bombard you with questions, and realizes this is not the appropriate time for it.
Did I just read its mind with an ESP spell, or did I tongues? I think I might have used tongues and talked to an elemental. Right, we had some interesting scenes where I opened my mouth and like the creaking of earth and moving rocks.
Yeah. Well.
Alrighty. Well, let's
head out.
Take a tour of Nekkraut. Check out our new roads. Do we have like proper?
They're not paved. They're still dirt in nature, but they have been, instead of just being trails that people follow, someone has come through and cut them properly, so they've got like a set width. And they're flat along the area, and carts can travel on them, and the big rocks have been moved out, and earth has been packed down hard. The dirt roads are good enough for now because the Red Hills get so little rain that, that they don't turn to mud and wash away. And so there's never been need to pave them with stones or line them with wood or something. You only get a few inches of rain a year.
Cool. Well, a few days later, we head out from Nekkraut. Just 3 wizards. Probably got packs or whatever with some food and some minor supplies, but otherwise just us. Probably spending a night in Grekos on our way.
Certainly.
Has Grekos changed much?
Grekos has grown. Its population has swelled. It is maybe 30% larger than last you've seen. You don't know the people of Grekos very well, but there's no way in 2 years that they could have naturally swelled their population by such numbers.
There's 30% more children running around.
Yeah. One of the things you'll notice in Grekos is a contingent of dwarves who seem to be set up somewhere over here. You can see their low-lying house near one of the roads. A group of dwarves hanging out near a table on this late afternoon when you arrive, chattering in their native language.
We founded a dwarf town somewhere up here, right?
Yeah, there was a mine over there.
Is it a copper mine? Silver?
Sason, it's a silver mine on the coast.
Okay. Devon will approach them, I guess. Greetings, cousins of Earth and Stone. Have you,
One of them perks up. Oh, Devon! I see you're alive. Give me a charisma check. It's been...
Yeah.
I mean, they're dwarves, right? It's hard to tell.
I was about to be racist and ask if they knew Sason, but it seems like they probably do.
Yeah, you recognize this as one of the dwarves that you met originally. He's not one of the ones that came with Sason, but he's one of Sason's family members who, in the 2 years you've been gone, seems to have followed afterwards.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been 2 years for Devon. That's probably why it's so easy to remember him.
He clearly recalls your face.
Yeah. I see in your wisdom you've decided to consider my advice and move east.
Of course.
Find the You find the earth of the Red Hills suitable for your crafts?
He gives a half-hearted shrug. I suppose is as good as a place as any. I guess you've been gone some time, though. Our former home became less appealing after the warlords moved in. He shrugs. This
Warlords.
place is safe and good. Plenty of access to good materials.
You've taken up residence here in Grecos? Last I saw him, your cousin Saison was prospecting a silver mine in the northeast.
Aye, and there he stays, keeping the silver mine running and flowing. Great many coin come out of that place with your face stamped on them.
Was Devon's face on the silver? What was that? I thought the copper had Devon and Helen.
Yeah.
The silver had the mother-in-law.
Okay, but it wasn't Devon on one side and the mother-in-law on the other.
It was Devon on one side and Helen on the other.
Yeah, that was the copper. And so the silver was going to be... Okay.
The silver, I think, was the...
Was it the tower and...
I think so.
The Master of Coin? Okay.
I think it was the Tower and the Mistress of Coin. And then we don't have a gold mine yet, but we'll come up with something.
Well, then he doesn't say your face on them. With a lady... Just wrote her name down. Lady Temides' face on them. We see a lot of silver coming through Grecos, and more than a few copper as well.
Alright, that's fine. Do they have any interesting tales or rumors to relate? Warlords?
Just that cryptic word about warlords north of the Brackish Fen.
Got my own lands to tend. Alright, so we spend the night in Grecos and then continue west.
Hey. Perfect. Great. You can make your way into the Brackish Fen all the way to...
with the roads and stuff, I think we can travel much faster.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we probably could have gotten past Grecos in one day, but...
Perhaps. But there are things to see and, stops to be made. People address you in the street. Cassandra, says, oh, hold on, let me quickly do this thing in Grecos. This one, administrative task that needs to be handled. Runs off to do it, and you spend 15, 20 minutes waiting there, eventually resting at one of the local inns where you get... where you get free room and board, as one of the locals says something about, Platos himself never comes out this far, but to you who saved us from our own sacrilege towards him, I could not charge a single copper coin for you to stay here. Please, Lord Devon, stay in my home.
Oh, if you insist.
And the next day, the three of you, find yourself back at that summoning circle in the Fen.
What is the path like through the Fen? So the dwarves had built like a series of boardwalks and paths and stuff through the Fen.
Mm-hmm.
Has that been well maintained? Is it sturdy enough for trade to pass through the Fen?
I think so. I gave you a description of what the roads were like when you left the Feywild on your way back, but I don't remember the description I gave.
They were more or less there. Like we took a long time bringing the dwarves back and like built makeshift boardwalks and bridges and stuff on our way back to Nekkraut. But the idea was like the swamp shifts and it requires some maintenance. So I guess the question was more like what's happened over the past 2 years, right? Have they been maintained? Have they been improved? Or has it fallen?
I think I gave a very direct answer to that when I described you guys leaving the fen after your 2 years there, but I don't remember what I said. I think the roads are in decent shape.
Yeah, we can.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to have a nice long chat with McTacky.
As in you need him to read the wiki to you?
The notes aren't in the wiki, but he knows. He knows everything. He knows everything.
Wiki doesn't say anything, yeah. But...
Yeah. I do believe the roads are in good condition.
Yeah. Okay, so we walk through the fen, walk along boardwalks and bridges, and get to the special spot. I don't know if there was a marker. I think we can like see the hill or something, but like the road doesn't go straight past the workshop. But there's like a point where the road's like a couple hundred yards from it.
Right.
And we still have to trudge through the swamp a little ways to get to the secret workshop.
This is true. The fish swim at your ankles. Mosquitoes buzz in the air. Dragonflies dart to and fro. Birds sit in abandoned trees.
Go and get set up in the workshop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Might as well do this all this night, right?
Why not?
Let's see. The first casting will be Magic Jar, but I do want to review my elemental stuff to make sure there's nothing that I'm missing there. So let's see. Conjure elemental will require just water and sand, I guess.
Is that what it says? Yeah, water and sand. There's plenty of water to be found here, and a bag of sand could easily have been brought from Nekkraut.
Doesn't say the sand needs to be particularly high quality. I'm sure I could find some somewhere in the swamp as well.
Mm-hmm. You could bring sand and silt out from the base of the brackish fen, but
yep.
A wise wizard always brings his own supplies.
Yeah. Devon probably isn't a wise wizard. I'm guessing Moff probably brought a small basin and sand, and I think we'll pour like fresh drinking water. We're not gonna like conjure a swamp elemental or whatever. Although I think those would be some fun monsters to create. We had like the blood elemental that we did battle with that time. But like magma elementals and like storm elementals, mixing of the elements, different effects. All right. So Moff sets the basin in the middle of the summoning circle.
Cleans up the outsides. Make sure nothing crosses the edge of the summoning circle.
Picks it up. Gets her notes ready. Meanwhile, Devon and Cassandra prepare to soul swap. Share an intimate moment together. Are you ready?
You can see Cassandra's a little bit jittery with excitement, First real magic that she's worked in a long time. Certainly she's cast spells here and there, but nothing like Magic Jar.
What is curious what Cassandra's spell list is even like. She's probably got like 3 versions of Hold Portal.
She just keeps coming up. That was the last instruction you gave her, so now she's got all the Hold Portal spells.
She's got Magic Missile, Reveal Doors,
Big
Magic, Detect Magic. She doesn't have level 2.
Well, I haven't updated her character sheet in a long
she's
time.
3.5, so she should have level 2 spells, but we haven't given her any. But
Yeah, by now she's got to be at least level 4, maybe more. No, I guess she
became a house wizard.
Yeah, she's probably hit 4 at this point and stuck there until she can be trained appropriately. Anyway, here she is, ready to work these magics with you.
Yep. I think she'll find the experience kind of lackluster because she's going to spend the whole thing inside of a magic jar.
That'll be an experience in and of itself for her.
Yeah, probably disconcerting, right? Being trapped in a prison of aquamarine.
Mm-hmm.
So Devon casts magic jar, placing his own soul into the gemstone, his body falling limp, and then he has to attack Cassandra. I think she goes willingly, however.
Yeah. But first, the elemental must be summoned, yes?
That's later.
Okay, you go into the jar first.
Mm-hmm.
Then switch with Cassandra, so now you inhabit her body.
And then, yeah, and we can. I think she can like willingly let me take her soul. And so Devon is in Cassandra with an empty magic jar.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cassandra, with Devon's soul inside, will surface, leaving Devon's lifeless body below. And so Cassandra and then Moff there taking notes are around the summoning circle.
Mm-hmm.
And Devon, from inside of Cassandra's body, will cast a conjure elemental.
Excellent.
Summoning the water elemental from the basin within the summoning circle. It has a range of 60 yards, so I think we can stand outside of the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Conjure the elemental.
Spells are broken. Creatures will be summoned within the circle, preventing them from running free, but also preventing the caster or others from interacting with the creature. While touch and spells may not cross the border, non-magical sounds may. Creature in the circle may attempt to break out. To do so, the creature rolls a d10 and adds their willpower to the number of hit dice and the number of hit dice to it. The spellcaster rolls the same thing. If the creature's roll beats the caster's, the creature breaks free of the circle. If the circle is made with silver instead of lead, you have advantage on your d10 roll. This is most definitely a well-made circle. So you roll 2d10, or you roll, a d10 at advantage. We'll need this.
I mean, well, first off, this is made by Drexel, so dice. Probably a level 99 wizard or something stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And second off, that's only if the elemental is trying to attack it. So this is only if I lose control of the elemental before I can swap souls with it. And in fact, I might just, if I've got control of the elemental, I might just be able to say, hey, let me have your soul. What's the word on...
Let me have your soul.
Conjured elemental must be controlled by the wizard. The spellcaster must concentrate on the elemental doing his commands, or it turns on the wizard and attacks. The elemental will not break off combat to do so, but will avoid creatures while seeking its conjurer. Wounded or grappled, this concentration is broken. What about casting other spells?
I think that counts as the caster not concentrating on the elemental doing his commands.
For a round, right? So it'll probably turn on me, try to get to the edge of the magic circle, and then I can re-concentrate. Right? It's not like breaking control, but it's like ignoring your elemental for long enough that it starts to do its own thing. So maybe there will be one round of the elemental attacking the magic circle.
Yes, there will be one round.
But conjure the earth elemental. Forgive our lack of theatrics. There's too much logic involved in figuring out how all this works. But we, under the cover of night, our two witches gather outside the magic circle. Moth furiously scribbling notes.
Right.
And Cassandra, possessed by Devon, with a magic jar around her neck. She first casts Conjure Elemental and brings forth the Water Elemental.
The magic circle made by Drexel the Lich definitely holds fast against the elemental's attempts to break through.
And the following round, outside of the magic circle, Cassandra casts Magic Jar, transferring Devon's soul into the jar. Cassandra's body falling
limp to the ground.
Limp. Is there another jar? Is that what we have to happen?
There are 2 jars, yeah.
There are 2 jars, so there's some other random like diamond or something with Cassandra's soul on it.
I think it's just 2 aquamarines, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Temporary vessel. That's probably, I mean, that's not relevant. Like, that's down with Devon's lifeless body. And then from there, Devon is in this second magic jar, attempting to attack the elemental. From within the magic jar, is he able to control the elemental? Like, can he, like, refocus his concentration and be like, hey, elemental, I'm back?
Life force goes into the receptacle. While in the magic jar, the caster can sense and attack any life force within a 10-foot per level radius. Group of life forces the caster can sense, blah, 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 blah.
Right, like, what if there are, like, spell effects that are going on before you magic jar? I.e., in this case, like, control over an elemental. They persist? Or are they broken this magic jar thing?
Life force. A great question. My gut tells me that when you are magic jarred, you probably have to break concentration on whatever you're doing.
Certainly for the round where you're casting it, but then once you're inside of the magic jar, the next round. So that first round, like, I ignore the water elemental and it bashes against the magic circle and fails. And then the next round, I am attacking the water elemental. But the question is, can I also, like, regain my link control over the water elemental? Like, so it says that when you're magic jarred, you can sense and attack life force. What else can you do when you're in a magic jar? Presumably you can't cast spells. But if you had persistent magical effects going on, are all of those broken?
Your soul is still on the same plane. It hasn't shifted anywhere else. Your mind is in the jar, fully functioning and capable of doing its things. It cannot speak or move, so it cannot cast spells. But you can think. You can maybe not observe, but you can sense life forces.
Right, so I can feel out where the elemental is. Do I still have the link via the Conjure Elemental to say, hey, stop that, stand still, give me your soul? It doesn't matter either way. We just
yeah.
I mean, it seems like an important precedent to set, and then it also changes whether or not I need to actually attack.
Let me just read Conjure Elemental here. Spellcast must conjure elemental. I think that with Conjure Elemental, if you stop focusing on your control over it, the control breaks. Yeah. I don't think you can temporarily...
Yeah, because it does say for Magic Jar that you need to spend the whole round. So maybe I could command the Elemental from the Magic Jar, but not while I'm attempting to swap souls.
Yeah, but I also think that
from the Magic Jar. So, like,
I think that when you break concentration on 2 Magic Jar, then the elemental breaks free of your concentration. I don't think you can suspend
if
control.
If you momentarily ignore an elemental, it breaks free permanently, and there's no way to regain that link.
Full concentration, and then if it breaks, then it's just broken entirely. Yeah. That doesn't set any precedent for Magic Jar and maintaining concentration on effects, which is good, because I'm not quite ready to make that decision, but I do think that once you break concentration with the elemental, it's just free. So you will still need to do your attack to move it into the jar.
Yeah.
And what is that attack like?
It gets a saving throw, but it might be a very pitiful saving throw. I was going to look up. So it's modified by by the difference in our combined int and wisdom.
Oh.
Mine is like 29. I don't think elementals are particularly smart.
They are not. It was modified by subtracting the combined intelligence and wisdom scores target from those of the wizard. Well, then this guy's gonna need like a nat 20 or something. So here
I think so, right? I want to say it's like low intelligence, like 5 to 7, and I don't know what you'd consider its willpower to be, but maybe comparably shitty. I guess it could have
probably,
decent.
Yeah, probably around average. I don't think elementals are. Well, they might be a little bit. A fire elemental might have low wisdom. A rock elemental might have high wisdom or willpower, sort of just representing
low
their
intelligence. So 7. At the max. Let's say average is 6. If you assume it's average will.
16 then. And what's your int and
from 29? So 29 minus 16 is 13. A penalty of 13 to its saving throw.
Okay, 1d20 minus 13.
It's an 8 hit die fighter.
It does not pass its save, although it rolls quite well.
It does get one more round to try and break the magic circle, but I don't think it matters. Like, even if it breaks free, I grab its soul.
Yeah.
And then its soul, the element.
And it does not burst the circle.
Elemental water is trapped within the aquamarine. And Devon has control over the element of water as long as he likes.
Yes. As a water elemental, what would you like to do?
Nothing in particular, but I do relish in this for a while. I am stuck in the magic circle, I believe.
Yes. You are confined.
Spells can pass through it, though, right? I can magic jar through the magic circle.
Yes.
I don't think magic jar is stopped by lead or stone or anything like that.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Like, can I magic jar right out of the magic circle, right through the stone beneath me, back into Sandra's body? Or do I need to...
Magic jar. You can sense life forces nearby.
Attack them.
Yes. I don't think the ground beneath you would stop that. I think you could sense life forces through the ground. I'm sure there are special materials that you could use to block magic jar. Perhaps a combination of silvers and leads and other enchantments might be able to block such a thing, but there is no such thing here. There's no such warded area that you are aware of.
Sorry, what did you say needs to...
To block a magic jar would probably need a special preparation of silver and lead together.
Okay.
Thickness of both. And
none of this workshop doesn't have any such protections.
This workshop has no such protections.
Okay. So I swirl around as a water elemental. I think I'm slightly weakened because I'm on land. But
there's a basin of water nearby you.
Yeah, the basin wasn't enough water, actually, now that I look at it. But there was enough water in the swamp, I think, within 60 yards to serve as the source of water.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't have skipped over those details, but I imagine the water would have flown from the swamp towards the circle to, like, create a vortex of water, then that splashes up and, like, fills the area, pushing against the circle, kind of creating, like, a pool with invisible walls, in which you swim now.
Well, I think you conjure the elemental on. You can conjure the elemental on dry land as long as you're 60 yards from water, I think. The trouble with elementals is like half of it's in the monsters manual, half of it's in the spell. The spell description didn't mention this stuff, but yeah, it's fine. I think it's an 8 hit die elemental, so it's 8 feet tall. So it's not like a whole pool of the magic circle. It's like an 8 foot tall, vaguely humanoid water elemental.
You can see from your water elemental form Moth scribbling furiously note after note, Cassandra's body limp on the outside of the circle, Devon unconscious. And you realize that, with just Moth the scribe here, if anyone were to come across the situation right now, yours and Cassandra's bodies would be so easy to take or destroy.
Excuse me? I'm an 8 hit die water elemental.
Locked in a magic circle.
Yeah, I was curious to see about breaking out of the magic circle. I might try to do that, just to see how tough it is. Right, we had experimented. We had laid Devon had actually accidentally broken the magic circle, and it does reset. So we know that if I break free, I'm not going to be permanently broken free. But what happens if Devon tries to escape the magic circle?
To escape the magic circle, you must roll a d10 and add your willpower and your hit dice number. And the creator of the circle will do the same thing. The creator has advantage because their circle is extremely well made. And if you win, then you break free. If you fail, then the circle holds you.
For a round or forever? And I get to use my highest level, not my average. Is that correct?
You would use your highest, yes.
So I will roll 28.
Okay.
And then I guess we're just sort of feeling out the strength of Drexel here. Or whoever made this magic circle. I muted this silly thing. Don't know how to phone.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, you cannot break out of this circle.
Level 14, let's see. 14th, 30. There's even with a 10. I could conceivably do it if I rolled like a 10 and he rolled a poorly. Can I attempt every round, or is it like a one and done?
Not every round. I'm not sure if it should be turns, hours, or days where you can reattempt. But there will be an ability to reattempt. Maybe it's once a turn. Yeah, we're gonna say once a turn.
So Devon needs to get back to his own body in a particular order. So as to not revert. So I can't go back to Cassandra's body, because that will free the water elemental.
No, but you can push her out of her...
I think I will go back to the magic jar that she is inside.
Which pushes her back into her body.
And then from that magic jar, I go back into my own body, which ends the first magic jar.
Yes.
But the second magic jar is still going.
Yes, and in the second magic jar is the spirit of a water elemental, while the body of the water elemental, which is just water, floods the magic circle.
How do we get our swimming pool?
Yes, but you can't go in because the magic circle blocks physical passage.
Both ways.
Yes.
I thought last time Devon tried to cross it and broke it or something stupid.
Oh, I think that sounds right.
No need for it to be canon. I don't know.
No, I think that's right. It's just been like 4 months since we've done this, so I'm forgetting my rulings.
So initially, Cassandra regains her consciousness in her body. She's like when she was last conscious, she was in the basement of the workshop, and then she was in an aquamarine, and now she comes to back in her own body on this slab of stone underneath the stars.
Cassandra wakes up, grasps around, is panicked for a moment, calms herself, gets to her feet, dusts herself off, and comes over to where you are now coming to, because it takes a round for her to move her out and take her place, and then around to this. She will stand guard over you for a moment while you get to your feet.
I mean, she's got to walk down the staircase or whatever. So yeah, she has the elemental soul, right? She has the magic jar with the water elemental in it.
Yes. She holds it in her hand as Moth continues to scribble quickly.
And I think with these magic jars made, Devon can probably use them at will, can't he?
What do you mean use them?
Like, could I, whenever I wanted to, put my body back or put my soul back into these active magic jars, like swap my soul for the elemental soul inside? Seems like with magic jar you could like prepare vessels and do these crazy switcheroos and like have vessels waiting for you to use.
Well, the life force of the water elemental has nowhere to go unless you swap with it. So you could go into the magic jar and the water elemental could control you, your physical form.
I don't think that's how it works. Like, it tries to find its own, and then it tries to... Let's see.
If successful, the caster's life force occupies the host body, and the host's life force is confined to the magic jar. Host body retains its own hit points and physical abilities and properties. Freely from the host to the receptacle within the 10-foot per level range.
Any life force with nowhere to go is treated as slain. So I think, right, if I displace the spirit of the water elemental, it's just killed.
Okay, because it doesn't go to your body. It would try to go back to its own, but has nowhere to go, and so it would just die.
If there is like an empty vessel, so like if you had done some switcherooing and there's like a body nearby with no spirit inhabiting it, that might be somewhere to go.
Right.
But usually no. For a water elemental, maybe you'd say like if there's a body of water nearby, it can jump to that.
I guess for a water elemental,
conjure anywhere. Like fire elemental would probably need a bonfire.
Yeah.
Earth elemental could probably go anywhere.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
Okay. But interesting preparation. Like, it seems like a necromancer could have these magic jars like prepared for like emergency escapes. To like, jump into your already prepared magic jar. I don't know if they intended for these sort of loopholes to exist where you can like chain magic jars to like have a magic jar spell active with right, the reason this is work, like usually the spell resets when you go back to your, and maybe it's meant to reset when you go back to your original body.
Well, I think that's what happened. I think you have returned to your body, and so the spell is ended with something trapped within it.
Yeah, you were telling me that the second magic jar spell was still going.
Is it? I mean, You have an opinion one day and you reread things another day and your opinion changes.
It's fine. None of this is relevant. I mean, the end goal was to get an elemental spirit trapped inside of a gemstone.
Which you definitely have.
Yeah.
There's nothing in here that says the spell ends on a certain thing, right? You just move.
It says if, yeah, I mean, it's got a special duration. Somewhere it's like the spell ends when the caster returns to his own body.
Yes, the spell ends when the wizard shifts from the jar to his own body. So the spell must have ended.
Well, no, because when I cast the second magic jar, my own body was Cassandra's body.
Oh, right.
That's kind of the weird gray area. Like, what do they mean by your own body? But it
well,
seems
in this
like
context,
if you're
your body was
taking
Cassandra's.
it literally, my body was Cassandra's body. So the second magic jar is still going.
Yes, the second magic jar is still going.
So
You can shift into that one particular magic jar because you are currently in a host body.
Which is my own body.
Right.
Yeah. But in general, like a necromancer could magic jar and take over someone else's body and wander around with this weird soul gem. And whenever they feel like it, they could magic jar around forever.
Yeah, you cast magic jar, you take over someone's body, you walk around as that person, and then at will, you go back into the magic jar. Yeah, for however long you want.
It's basically making a permanent magic item or whatever.
Then you would be able to transfer yourself back into the soul gem at will and push that soul back into their original body at will.
Yeah. Or if you chain these magic jar spells together, you could like make it so that the original soul, it would probably, a displaced soul would probably be able to possess an empty vessel, an empty body.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You couldn't like possess a zombie because they're decayed, but if it's like someone that's been just like that soul has been removed from their body, that body is suitable for.
Yeah.
Anyways. Did we bring all the gemstones? I mean, we might as well
chain them together. Well, you need time to rest to recover your MP, right?
Yeah.
Do you have to go
the gemstones?
Cassandra would have brought the box of gemstones for you to use. So the box is here with all the gemstones, including the backups.
How's Moth feeling? Do we want to conjure?
Moth's good to go, but do you have room? Do you have MP for 2 more magic jar spells?
Oh, definitely not. We would probably need to spend a few days like studying at the workshop.
Then study at the workshop you shall. Using Moth's notes, you can pull out whatever spell books you brought with you and record what you have learned, spending your time in study doing this. Cassandra pulls out her old books as well. You'll notice like a thin film of dust on the edges that she blows off into a little cloud, pulls out some ink and quill, and makes to work writing. The 3 of you can spend days down here underground, going up for air and water as needed, taking notes, discussing the principles of magic, using what divination spells your apprentices can have on them to probe this magic jar and the creature inside, trying to see how it may react. What happens when you bring the magic jarred creature within the confines of the magic circle? Does anything happen? What if you place it in the water from which it was originally created? All these little experimentations are done and
are there any interesting results you'd like to share, or so many interesting results that just for suspense will leave to our imaginations?
The results that you get are minor in their nature. So you put the gemstone in the magic circle and nothing really happens, and you cast detect magic on the area. You can sort of see the swirling magic of the magic circle in effect, and then you can see the gemstone in there, and there's sort of like a bit of a resonance between the creature trapped inside and the magic circle, which isn't there when you take it out. But it's not, it's just like, oh, these 2 things have some sort of magical resonance between them, but it's nothing juicy. It's the stuff that would be interesting to academics, not to...
What about the water? Like, are there weird effects when you put the water gem into water?
most surprisingly, there are no effects whatsoever. It doesn't seem to respond to the water in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And then someone says,
Devon
well, what
will,
about special water? What about like magical water? What about holy water? Would it do something there? And everyone looks around and there's no holy water to be had. And what about the water of a nymph's pool or of like a, Poseidon's lair? Except they probably wouldn't say Poseidon. They would say some sort of, sea creature. An aboleth's lair. Maybe that water would react more differently, or what would happen?
Does have a potion of sweet water, and that shouldn't damage the potion of sweet water, right? To put a water elemental in it.
I think that would probably fuck up the potion of sweet water. Yeah.
We need to learn how to make more of those.
So it brings up the
2 mystery potions too.
Oh boy, those are real mystery potions now.
Potions of Drexel, they're labeled, but yeah.
Great. Well,
doesn't matter.
Much research is done.
Potions of water breathing. Interesting. You think it would destroy a potion to put a gemstone in it?
I think so. Yes. I think the potions must be kept in these vials to be safe. It takes a lot of energy and magic and study to create a potion, and they are easily damaged or destroyed.
Okay. Devon will share his Sirona momentarily with his apprentices. Let them use the ESP powers to probe the mind of these elementals. I suppose they're free to legend lore and dream about mysteries of the universe that they have that they would like answered. But probe the minds of the elemental.
Cassandra will attempt to legend lore Atropos.
I feel like that was a bad idea.
It was a bad idea.
It didn't, no lasting harm, but like it was like gazing into the abyss, wasn't it? And then,
yeah. You give her the...
I didn't tell her. I was like, here, you can borrow this.
Yeah, with
the mind of the elemental, but she knows that you can use it to like...
And she takes advantage of this brief moment to get to the burning questions at the back of her mind, and she tries to legend lore.
Insane.
Yeah, let's have Cassandra make us a wisdom willpower check as she tries to reach the true nature of Atropos. Would you roll her a wisdom willpower check?
Yep, I will. Oh God, Cassandra. Not her strongest stat.
Yeah. Her eyes go wide. They begin to roll back a little bit, but sort of reach the top of her eyes and sort of flick up and down a few times. And before she rips the Sirona off her head and throws it to the ground, scrambling back away from it. And then looking at you, surprise, wide-eyed surprise.
What have you done? Devon asks. What have you seen? Was she able to rip the Sirona off herself, or does one of us rip it off of?
She was able to discard it quickly enough.
Does legend lore happen instantly when you use a Sirona, or was she like caught zoning out for a few moments?
It was moments, maybe 45 seconds before she grabbed it and threw it off of her head. She looks at you and says,
babbling about the winter gods.
Hunger. I felt so much hunger, so much thirst, so much. There's a lack of life, a lack of soul, a lack of an emptiness, a deep, bottomless emptiness that could never be filled. Pit of darkness.
You thought of Atropos. You gazed into the abyss.
What is she?
I don't know. I don't know if we should know.
I've always heard the legends that the witch Atropos has lived in the cave beyond our walls for forever, but I have assumed forever just meant as far back as someone could remember, that she was still mortal or maybe fey in nature, but cannot. What is bottomless and empty and hungry?
Atropos. She embodies these things.
She's incredibly dangerous then. That insatiable hunger. And she stops mid-sentence and thinks back to all the people of the village that have served her, and they sometimes go missing and vanish. Atropos has consumed in, not necessarily physically, but consumed in some form or another, all of her servants eventually, except for you. You have managed to leave her chambers and make your own way in the world, where many of her other servants seem to have just faded from the world until she calls for a new one. There have always been questions about what happens to servants at the end of their time with Atropos. And when some people have, searched her for wisdom, she has always found a way to calm people's suspicions. A source of great knowledge, this woman. Great manipulation.
Knowledge is power, and power can be dangerous. We must be careful what we wonder. So, Moff, do you want to have a turn with the Sirona? Devon is not so whimsical. Anyways.
Moff will make a wisdom check.
Days of steady pass. Yeah, should I roll a wisdom check for Moff?
Yeah.
Is this to see if she even wants to attempt it?
Yes. A success means she's going to... has the courage. She is going to pass. She's going to pass on the Sirona for now. Too many other notes to take. We'll get to it later.
Yeah. All right. Should we roll some dice to see how long we're out here, or?
Yeah, just roll a bunch of magic regeneration dice.
Yeah, let's see. If I'm spending. Oh, we've got a little handout here. I can check.
Yeah.
I can get quality sleep in the swamp, right?
Yeah.
How well kept is this is it's a workshop. It's a shelter. We brought food.
Yeah, quality sleep
Spending
really
it in
refers
steady.
to safety and security. And this place is safe. This place is secure as far as you're concerned. You have no fear of being interrupted. You've got a warm bed. You've got water. You've got food. You've got light if you need it, and darkness when you need it.
1, 2. I think each 5th level spell is 25 MP, right?
Yes, it is.
So I just barely have enough MP to cast these 3 5th level spells.
3?
Yeah, I have 75 MP exactly.
What
right? 'Cause I
3
have
spells do you need to
two
cast?
magic jars and a conjure elemental.
Ah, yes. It takes every last ounce of MP for you to do this.
So it'll take 4 days to be ready.
Mm-hmm.
But we can do it on the dawn of the 4th day.
Mm-hmm.
Has Moff decided which element she wishes? Fire or earth?
Moff. Ooh. Fire is a little bit scary to someone who is so bookish. Fire... Symbolically, fires can tear through things and destroy, and Moff is a little bit afraid of that. But also, fire creates light. Light is symbolically synonymous with intelligence or with wisdom, with knowledge. But earth appeals to Moff. The hard stability, the solidness of earth, the ever-present security that it provides. That's good for Moff. She likes that.
Okay. So we've scrounged some soft clay.
Mm-hmm. Easy to dig out of the fen.
And that is our component. Putting that in our basin. We probably gather some rocks and pile them. I don't think we want to conjure the elemental out of the structure of the summoning stone itself or something. That seems risky.
It's true. You may need quite a bit of earth in here.
Yeah. That was probably done over the course of these 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We pile up some dirt. It doesn't need to. over 4 days, it's easy enough to gather an 8-foot tall pile of rocks and earth, right?
Maybe if you had a bunch of laborers, but you've got like 2 weak spellcaster apprentices who are also working on magic-related tasks. Actually, there might be problems gathering enough earth. You might have to push her into doing fire anyway.
Well, then we'd need to find some sulfur. Or sorry, some phosphorus. I'll have sulfur for my fireball spell, but...
We've been filling our planter box in the backyard, which is 16 by 4 by 2. And it takes a lot of work to fill up that planter box with dirt, even if we're just pulling the dirt from the ground right next to it. It is surprisingly laborious to move that much earth.
Okay, then I think we might skip to a 5th day. And Devon will use a fabricate spell to like transfer dirt in range, 5 yards per level. So like from the magic circle, he can like excavate stone.
Well, you wouldn't want to take it from under the magic circle. That would disrupt.
No, but 5 times 9, 45 yards. So it'll be like pulling earth from the swamp and piling it.
Perfect.
1
can be
cubic
done.
Foot per level. Let's see. I think so. The bit about like using mineral reducing the AoE, I think that's like if you're taking rocks and trying to turn that into steel or something like that, it's less effective.
Yes.
But if I'm just taking rocks and trying to pile rocks, I can get 1 cubic yard per level of rocks, right? I'm not really transferring.
Spellcaster could fabricate wooden bridge. The quality of items made by the speller are commensurate with the quality of materials used for the basis of new fabrication. If the caster works with a mineral, the area of effect is reduced by a factor of 27.
But I think by that they mean like if you're like taking iron ore and trying to make a sword out of it, it's the AoE or like it's reduced because there's not enough iron in the right.
Totally. But if you're just piling up mud, then that's no
I can pile
more
up a cubic yard. In fact, probably 2 rounds of this is enough to make the quality is commensurate with the material used, so it will be a low quality muddy earth elemental, but it will be fine. And using fabricate, I mean, I can shape it into an earth elemental before I do it, which might as well.
1 cubic yard per level, and what level are you, Devon? 9?
Level 9. So maybe I might actually be able to improve the quality somewhat, right? Like doing the mineral to better material transformation, right? Like 9 cubic feet should be enough to make an 8-foot earth elemental, right? It might be kind of slender.
You've got 9 cubic yards, which is 243 cubic feet.
That's enormous. I'm saying if I work with mineral and make a better quality elemental, is 9 cubic feet enough to make an 8-foot elemental? That would be like 8 feet tall and like
totally, yeah, because 243 cubic feet is a 6 by 6 by 6 solid block. So you could easily make an 8-foot tall person, no problem.
Yeah, so I think that's what I do actually. More like a golem than an earth elemental. This is maybe a direction that Devon is going in his crafting, but he from the mud of the brackish fen, he crafts a clay golem, a mud golem. Like
excellent.
Excavates it and compacts it into the shape of a man-ish. Probably more of like, it looks more trollish, I think. It's got like long, lanky limbs because like limited in area, right? So it's got to be kind of slender and lanky, but it has to reach the 8 feet tall. And he's not really a craftsman, so it is kind of crude, but it has like long, pointy ears and a trollish snout. Pronounced brow. And we fabricate that, and for a day or so, I think it just sort of sits there unanimated in the magic circle because we need to rest again. And then on the morning of the 5th day, we will breathe life into this elemental.
And I think we've done this twice now, and the rolls are... I don't think they really matter all that much, right? There's a chance that you...
We can quickly roll. There's a chance that the elemental escapes before...
Well, the elemental can't possibly break out of the magic circle.
Okay,
I think its maximum roll is still less than the magic circle's minimum roll.
And I don't really think there's anything bad that can happen.
But it does get a saving throw
to see how many rounds it takes. So I guess roll a saving throw just so we know, and then we can kind of...
Yeah, it was 1d20 minus 13, and it gets a -3 on its save. So you can easily move between all the things and trap.
So we do the same thing again. Devon's lifeless body in the basement. This time Cassandra is waiting at the top, taking notes, while Moth and Devon swap souls. She's probably more timid than the others have been, a little more reluctant. Maybe she resists, and Devon has to wrench her soul from her body. But we cast the magic jar, swap souls into the lodestone, and Moth emerges from the basement, possessed by Devon, carrying a second lodestone.
Yes,
it's been sort of polished and faceted into a octahedron, like a nice 8-sided die, but big enough to make a suitable magic jar. Next, Devon from Moth's body casts Conjure Elemental, conjuring an Earth Elemental. And the only Earth available is the Golem, the lifeless Golem that Devon has created.
Which
there's a basin of soft clay nearby, but the Golem springs to life. And I think with like an elemental inhabiting it, is no longer restricted to the form that Devon created. So it
can flow as needed.
It can flow as needed. So probably only for a moment is it in the shape that Devon crafted, and then it like shifts and reshapes, pounds against the wall of the magic circle to no avail. When Devon, as Moth, casts another another magic jar spell, the elemental fails, and Devon possesses the earth elemental. The elemental spirit is trapped in the lodestone, and Devon flexes as an earth elemental for a moment.
A lot of strength in this form.
Yeah, maybe instinctively like reshifting his form, right? He does have access to like some of the innate powers of the creature, so he like probably tries to reshape it into the golem like structure that it started as.
Yes, you can shift back mostly into the golem like structure, but not entirely. The weight of the material in its like viscous form doesn't allow the legs to support it. It does need a bit more of a blobby nature. The golem cannot be fully formed, but like the top half of the golem can create its form once again.
Yeah, the picture of the earth element in the book's kind of like a shambling mountain.
You know, I'm reading Magic Circle, and I think there's a flaw. I think there's a hole in all of this.
Didn't you make this Magic Circle spell?
Not necessarily a flaw, but a interaction with earth elementals in particular. Because the Magic Circle creates vertical walls.
Oh, but the earth elemental could...
The earth elemental, I think, can move through earth itself.
Let's read this earth elemental for a second.
That big of a deal, because you, as we discussed earlier, can target things still within the earth.
Can travel through solid ground or stone with no penalty to movement. Cannot travel through water.
They do travel slowly. Movement speed 6.
But even through like magically worked stone like the circle, I think the elemental can probably sink into the stone, can't it?
Mm-hmm. I think when Cassandra summons the elemental, it takes the form of the body, it moves forward, presses against the wall, and then begins to sink into the ground.
Fortunately, this all happened. We could roll initiative. Oh, Magic Jar might take the full round.
It does take a full round.
Yeah. So, but the elemental takes a full round trying to break the magic circle.
Yes.
Failing, realizing it can't.
Yes.
And then it sinks and gets as far as it can in a round, which is probably considered combat round. It probably moves 60 feet, I would guess.
Yes. And this,
and maybe it goes down and pops out and hunches over Devon's lifeless corpse for a moment before. I
will give the elemental a roll to see if it is trying to destroy you or if it is trying to flee.
Oh, actually, it will go for its summoner, which is Moth, or which is Devon in Moth. So I think it would spend the round moving. Like it goes down 60 feet, goes under but the magic circle is perfectly. How far does it go into the ground?
Magic circle starts at the circle and goes up. You can just dip right underneath it. I do believe.
Yeah.
I haven't described a height for the magic circle either, so air elementals might be able to fly high enough to escape.
We already dealt with the air elemental, but
lucky for us there. So it gets one round. It can move. Well, no, it's one round is spent trying to break out, and then
right. But I think the magic jar might be a full round. So I was wondering, do we need to roll initiative, or does magic jar?
You summon the elemental with one spell, and then the next round is when the creature tries to break out.
And it only gets to break out because she's casting magic jar.
So she takes the full round to cast it. That takes its action to break out and fails, and then uses its movement to go out underneath and appear right next to Cassandra.
Life force shifts into the receptacle in the round that it was casting, allowing no other actions. Can sense an attack. An attempt to take over a host body requires a full round.
Yeah. But luckily, it uses its action to attempt to break out. So as long as Devon and Cassandra's body...
Well, no, but that was the round that the magic jar was being cast. And then there's another round where the life forces change. So is it able to, like, move and ambush? And, like, is it smart enough to be like, hey, I can just, like, swoop and, like, flip underneath this magic circle, pop up, and punch in the time it takes to do the magic jar? It's possible. It's only got int 5, though.
It is no stranger to moving through ground. It is its natural thing. So when it tries to...
But it is a stranger to a magic circle. I mean, it's like, what is this magic circle? It spends around trying to break free, but then it's probably piecing together, oh, hey, I can go down.
Right. So it can go down and out, and it can get out. And I can't see any reason why it wouldn't attack Moth's body in the round after it breaks free while the magic jar attempt is turning. Does magic jar happen at the end of the round?
I think it's not totally explicit, but I think it says it takes a round. An attempt to take over a host body requires a full round. So does it... Magic jar spell enables the caster to shift his life force into a receptacle. The life force shifts in the round in which the casting is completed, allowing no other actions. There is Cassandra is witnessing this, so she'll get a chance to like react.
She will see it meld into the earth and come out the other side in that first round where Magic Jar was being cast and it tried to break free. And so the second round, when the elemental has an action, when Devon and Moth's body is attempting to switch bodies, Cassandra will have a full action and a full round to do whatever she wants.
turns on the wizard and attacks. It will not break off combat to do so. So Cassandra, if she is feeling chivalrous, could initiate combat with the elemental.
Could distract the elemental.
Right, yes. The elemental would fight her rather than going towards the non-threatening summoner.
Yes.
But I guess maybe we should roll some kind of morale check or something. Maybe roll a surprise for Cassandra to see if she expected it to pop out of the magic circle.
Well, no one expected it to pop out of the magic circle. But Cassandra rolls a 9 on any surprise check that might have been incurred and passes without flaw. The question is Cassandra brave enough? Didn't Cassandra attack an elemental with a stick once and a dagger to get off of Devon?
Yeah.
Or was that a soy? I think that was Cassandra.
A soy participated a little bit too, but Cassandra, I think, was our lifesaver.
Yeah. And just like before,
I mean, she's my henchman. Well, she also has magic missile. She could, if she's smart, she probably magic missiles and runs. Should we roll some stats or some stat checks to see what decisions you make, or should I control her as if she were
You
PC?
should control her as if she was your PC. She's your henchman, and that is the benefit of having her as a henchman.
So Cassandra sees this happening, her eyes go wide. Devon in Moth is thinking shit, but he's staying focused. He is trying to control this elemental, trying to grab its spirit, whirling around to see it taking shape behind him. And Cassandra flings some magic missiles at the earth elemental.
Level 4 would do 2d4 plus 2 damage.
It doesn't matter. I mean, we should probably technically roll initiative, but I don't think there's any way for the elemental to...
Well, if it had rolled 8 HP and she had rolled 8 damage, she could have killed it. But that's a thin edge.
Yeah.
And it rolled crazy good.
She rolls she rolls 3 on her initiative.
Oh yeah.
If she had rolled a 10 on initiative and it had rolled 1, it might get an attack off. But I think what she does is she flings she's level 4, so is that 2d4 magic missiles? Or two magic missiles? 8 damage. If it had rolled all 1s, she could have killed it.
Yep.
But she's trying to distract it. She's hoping that Devon will save the day within a round. She flings the magic missiles and then takes her move to shout, "Over here, you big lug!" and takes off running. And I think by instinct, if you read the description of the Conjure Elemental, it won't break off combat to pursue its summoner. So I think it turns at the little gnat that just threw some magic missiles at it and trudges 60 feet.
And Cassandra can move 60 feet. She can cast and then do a half move. And the creature has a half move.
And they started 10 feet apart. So I think it probably moves to her, but it can't move 60 plus 5 or 10 feet to make an attack.
Right. So it
Unless
moves
it charges.
after her.
I feel like an earth elemental shouldn't be able to charge.
Yeah, the book specifically calls out that they move slowly. So the earth elemental rumbles through the ground, creating ripples as it goes in her direction.
I mean, it can move more than 60 feet. It just can't move and attack more than 60 feet, right?
Right.
So it pops up, lurches over her as Devon reaches out.
And what's the range of magic jarring? Is it at least 60 feet?
I hope so.
I think it's 10 yards per level.
5 yards per level or something.
The magic jar, the caster can sense and attack any life force within a 10-foot per level radius.
So 90 feet. She's 60 feet away.
Woo. Yeah. Okay. It's still within range. 1 round of movement. And then the saving throw goes off, which we rolled earlier and was a -3.
See, we didn't just breeze this one over.
Woo!
And Devon catches the elemental spirit, the earth elemental spirit in the lodestone, and controls the earth elemental, which he reshapes in a more non-threatening way, hopefully to signify to Cassandra that she's not in danger.
Mm-hmm. And she sees Moth's body fall limp, so she gets that.
Yeah. So
what has happened
the earth
to her?
elemental it backs off and shrinks down. Devon tries to tell her it's me, but all that comes out is the sound of glaciers sliding on granite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in this form, you can move in the earth. I do believe you retain its basic movements. I think you are more
from
clumsy.
the magic circle.
You are. You are more clumsy in its body than it will be when you go through Earth, since that is something not natural to you, but it is still workable. Would you like to explore the Earth?
I might hang out as an Earth Elemental for some time. Like, I could be an Earth Elemental forever. Probably not forever, but that seems fun.
Mm-hmm. Moth still trapped in a stone. Cassandra, the only conscious body lying around.
No, Moth will go back to... Oh no, Devon needs to go back to Moth. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Moth is in one lodestone. Devon is in another. To take on the form of an elemental permanently, I need a sacrifice. Let's see. I'm curious about Magic Jar. It has some comments on like natural. Like it says you get the instincts of the creature.
Yes. Yes.
And it's probably clumsy. I guess
yeah, the instincts would be the ability to move through Earth without trouble.
Caster retains. Let's see. Caster can call upon rudimentary or instinctive knowledge of the subject creature, but not upon its real or acquired knowledge. I guess like skill at moving through the stone is acquired knowledge, but like the natural ability to move through it is an instinct. It does specifically say clumsiness and inefficiency until you get used to the new form. Devon will like reshape into a golem of his own making and walk back to the magic circle. Well, like I guess like shift through the earth back and put things as they ought to be. I guess this elemental is pretty slow. It wouldn't be very efficient. I had a vision of like enjoying the earth elemental form for a little while, heading back to town as an earth elemental, carrying Devon's body. But that would also leave Moth in stasis as well. Not the kindest thing to do. So Cassandra looks on in horror as Golem Devon plays with his form for maybe a few minutes longer than he should. Like he like picks up and collects all the bodies.
It's like lifting the corpses in the hands of the earth elemental as it rolls along the ground.
Yeah.
We're going to give Cassandra a bravery check, which in this case will just be a willpower check. Oh, God, she's got shit willpower. Nope. I was going to say she sits on the... She was going to see if she would attempt to sit on the earth elemental and ride it as you pick up things, but she's a little tepedracious. And
not only is this an earth elemental, it's also her master. I think she just kind of...
just walks beside
stays clear.
Yeah.
I'll ferry it. Well, I guess she's not brave enough. She trudges back through the swamp. But I think Devon uses the earth elemental to ferry the bodies and their stuff on like a earth elemental sled of rock over the swamp.
Yeah, you can't go through
I guess there's issues
the water, but you could go
so
under the water, maybe like lifting up. If the water is only so deep, right? If it's only like 4 or 5 inches, you could create like a rolling tide of a stone or
pedestal.
Earth. Yeah, that moves with you.
To like ferry Moth and Devon back to the path.
And the path that the boards are on is mostly through the shallow areas where you can actually build bridges. There might be one section of deep water where the elemental has to like go deep and far around before it meets back up with the path. But the path lays out, usually the easiest, shallowest route. And so it is within a day, maybe by the end of that day, that you make landfall over here, since your movement rate is half of what it normally would be.
I think when we get back to the path, it's probably faster to shift back into our human forms, right?
Totally. So much faster to walk as a human than to move as an earth elemental.
Yeah. Devon only plays as an elemental for a few minutes, maybe gets us back to the boardwalk, and then lets the elemental dissipate. Can he leave it as in a cool form? I think he can.
Yes.
I think next to the Oh, hi. Next to the marking the place where the magic circle is off the path, will leave the lifeless body of an earth elemental. So just like a stone and mud clay guardian standing ominously 8 feet tall next to the path. Just to freak out the travelers and villagers, and maybe mark where our little kobolds running around underfoot.
Ugh.
Yeah. Cool. Do we want to do another segment? Should we take a break here?
I definitely need a break here. I think a small segment back at town, wrapping a few things up would be nice, but not a terribly long one. So we'll break, and we'll be back in a few minutes with some more Dicing with Death. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death for our last short segment. As Devon and the apprentices return to the town, return to Nekkraut.
A week later, only being back for a few days, I'm sure everyone was like, oh God, not this again. Or maybe they've gotten used to Devon not being around.
Yeah, there were some questions when you didn't return within 4 days, if you were going to be gone for another 2 years and take 2 of your apprentices this time. But you return. There are questions and there are wonders, but it's not for them to know unless you make an announcement.
No, it is not. Although Devon now does have these 3 elemental gems. They just stay in the case, or do they stay with him? I guess they might as well stay in the case for now. Locked in the library, guarded by our Yugoloth.
The oppressive sun beats down on the red hills in the summer months while you're coming into town. You notice lots of little things that still need to be dealt with on your way back into town. Those aren't your problems for now, though. Most of them can be passed off to someone else. As you come down towards where the tower is, you can see your domicile, your very own home. And who should be standing outside of your home but a pair of spearmen that are not of Nekkraut?
My home being
the manor adjacent to the tower.
Okay, it is adjacent to the tower. So I think there was like a... Okay, I don't actually recall. There was like a small dwelling that the tower sprung from or near. Was my wife's like the manor where my wife and child live in the same spot?
I do believe so. I have an old map of Nekkraut, but so much has changed. What I want to do between this session and next is actually draw out a map of Nekkraut. And like get a better version of the town going. Because this is my old map of Nekkraut. Clearly,
excellent.
This is insufficient to describe it in the modern era.
Yeah.
And
so the question is the manor next to the tower, or was there a separate like elder's manor?
Your wife lives in your house, which is next to the tower. I am confident.
Okay. Okay. Even with the passing of the elder, she's still here.
Yes. This is her home.
Has the home grown? Like, have they added additions? Right. Like we've seen all these judges moving up and up, getting fancy estates in the hills. What is the?
In the 2 years you've been gone, your wife's grandmother, the Master of Coin, has indeed made sure that her granddaughter and great-grandson are taken care of. The estate that your...
I'm pretty sure this is the elder's youngest daughter, but I don't... So we can go back with
Whatever. The child, the person in question, regardless of the grandness of their relationship, has been taken care of. However, she hasn't really had any administrative duties. Sort of as your wife, she was the symbolic person that people would come to in your absence, but as the months rolled on, more direct people were come to, and she ended up sort of leading the life of a noblewoman without a clear task. The herds that her people had tended to in the past have been sold or passed off. She had a child and, no time to manage flocks of goats all on her own. And so they were sold to someone, and that money reinvested into creating a better house, and then enough money passed to her from her mother of some kind that she need not work or labor. I don't want to describe your wife as a layabout, but she's been busy rearing a child and not performing other duties.
Okay. So, all that's to say, this is the house next to the tower, and it is much changed in the past few years. Mm-hmm. And there are 2 spearmen waiting outside.
Yes, 2 foreign spearmen who dress in clothing from far away. Not the goat hair clothes that your people wear, but, woolen clothes from more gentle pasture lands, more rich soils.
Devon approaches, and he was just out adventuring, so he probably has his elemental pike with him. Proper weapon.
And you would have spent one night in Grecos, so I think you have 1 night of MP worth.
Not studying, but probably 2d13 d1 I think would be for a nice night.
Activity plus quality sleep is 2 dice, and you get the top 1.
So 8 on top of
0.
An extra. No, because we had 23 plus 19 plus 19.
No, but you were at full 75 when you had to cast the 2 magic jars and the elemental, so you would have been at 0.
Oh, correct. Even if I overgained.
Right.
I was at 0, so I have 8.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. That's I'm also a level 7 fighter.
Mm-hmm.
8 is enough to glance some blows, or that might even be a 2nd level spell or something. We'll cast spells if I need. Anyways, Devon approaches. He's got his wizardly staff, which doubles as a spear and doubles as a martial arts weapon even.
Mm-hmm.
And he approaches behind. Are they facing outward, guarding, or?
Yes, they are near the front of the house, looking out to observe anyone coming on the path to the house. They see you approaching. They don't move to stop you, but they do give you the up and down and judge whether or not you are a safe
walks
person.
Right up next to them. Are my apprentices with me, or do they go to the tower?
Nope, they're following in your footsteps.
So I got some extra magic missiles and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "Can I help you, gentlemen?"
We are here to make sure no one interrupts the great Isaac.
Devon clears his throat and steps past these guards into the house.
They allow you through.
They allow me. I allow them to live. For now. Devon steps into the house. I think originally it was a very modest, 1-room little studio thing, but has it it's swelled to take up the neighboring plots, and
it has swelled somewhat. It now has a dedicated parlor, and a dedicated cooking area, and then a dedicated single bedroom. So it is now a 3-room house. What was once the only room is now the parlor, a kitchen to the side, and a bedroom to the other side.
So in the parlor, I assume I walk in on
You walk in
what's going on here? Devon says as he steps in. What does he see?
There is a man with his back to you, who was clearly in the middle of conversation with your wife, who was seated in a chair as the young mini Devon runs about. And your wife, at this point, speaks up and says, "And here he is. Speak of the devil. We were just talking about you, darling Devon."
Is it just Isaac, or are there guards in here as well?
One of Isaac's guards is here standing a few feet behind him and like turns to face you now. Doesn't, get their weapon in an attack position or anything, but was in the room in case something went down. Personal bodyguard always around. And, now you have the guard's full attention. Isaac throws a look.
He's armed in my house. He's got like a spear or something.
Yeah, he's got a spear. Isaac's got a sword at his side, but he hasn't drawn it. The guard just keeps the spear in hand. Isaac throws a single glance over his shoulder at you. You can see a strong face with a well-groomed beard, oiled mustache, and says, "Well, I suppose that is my cue to leave. Please, lady, think upon what I say. The grandeur of Hearthhome awaits you, day and night." And Isaac turns, gives you like a look up and down, like a,
I don't know that he has a direct route to the door. Like, I probably just walked in, and there's the guards let my apprentices walk in?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
You are absolutely blocking the door, but he's giving you the like up and down, like you don't mean much to him, and he's preparing to walk towards you, but you have plenty of time to react.
Yeah. What is he referring to? Devon says, looking to his wife. And why are there armed soldiers in my home?
My bodyguards follow me everywhere I go. A man of my stature needs protecting from the vagrants of this world. I'm surprised you don't have any bodyguards.
I guard my own body. And those of my family. Why are you here? What were you speaking of? Devon says, looking past Isaac to his wife.
The gentleman was making me an offer, like he has made me before, and I gave him the same answer I gave him the first and second and fourth times. He gives a lady such as this should not be left alone for long periods of time. I've offered her a place of comfort, a place of leisure. If her husband
abandons her. If I hear of you
her.
coming near my house or my wife again, these bodyguards will do you no good.
Well then, perhaps you shouldn't leave her alone for many long years, with no sign of your whereabouts. But I am a guest in your home, then I shall leave. I can tell when I am not wanted.
Guest, you are an imposter. With bared steel. He looks over to the guard. Past him. I guess it's bronze, huh?
Close enough. Well, I shall leave then. Good day, lady. Good day. What are you? What is your position in this town anyway? Good day, man who digs in the earth?
This whole conversation, Devon's hand has been like twitching and snapping. Like at his side.
Doesn't sound like you're making room for him to move away, though.
No, not really. I don't know. He's not really doing anything to like warrant aggression. I have enough MP for an arcane spray and I really want to use it, but I don't think he's quite warranted it yet. I don't think he's going to.
He looks expectantly at you to move out of the doorway.
I am Devon, but as I said, I don't expect you to need to call anything, or to call me anything.
Good.
Then
what
I
you
won't. Say about me you're being very casual about all this, but heed my warning. If I hear of you or your soldiers coming near my home again, well, I guess you won't really be able to regret it.
Are you
Devon steps aside,
threatening me?
No more than you are by being. Devon looks at the soldier who's still in his house. But I don't know if you caught that, but Devon has stepped out of the way of the door by now.
Isaac doesn't like being threatened. He's a man that's used to being in charge of things, and having this person who he doesn't know and who he has low regard for threaten him in this way is unsettling. Frustrating. But there's nothing worse for your image than looking like someone small has flustered you, and so he tries to brush this off and will stroll out of the house, taking time to ensure that his footsteps are casually paced and, taking his time to exit. His bodyguard will fall in line behind him. He'll get to the door and wipe his feet on your doormat on the way out.
Yeah, as he's taking his time, Devon will kind of ignore him and speak as if he's already gone, turn to his wife and say, "Who is that man? Has he any diplomatic, or has he any political standing in Hearthhome?"
He has no positions or office, but he is building a house on the hills opposite the way, on the other side of the creek. He does much trading in this area, but aside from money, no standing. I wouldn't consider him with any more of your time, dear.
I'd like to leave it that way, but he doesn't strike me as one that will leave well enough alone.
This is all well within earshot of the gentleman.
Yeah.
And
here I was worried he was some foreign prince or something.
Well, self-styled, perhaps.
Seems I can deal with him on my own without treating with the leadership of Hearthhome.
I don't think he's worth dealing with, dear. He has maybe come to town to buy something from time to time, but what he really wants, he cannot afford. He's gone by now. The bodyguards flee with him. Your apprentices stand awkwardly outside your front door, trying not to get in the way. Your kid wanders up to you and looks at you with big eyes. Doesn't really know who you are, but just stares at the strange man in dark robes with the elemental pike.
He, instead of casting arcane spray, Devon reaches in his into one of his pockets and crushes up some bioluminescent sea creatures to conjure dancing lights.
Kid makes grabs for the lights and babbles about them in, the language of a 2-year-old.
And Devon absentmindedly looks out his door at Isaac.
Yeah, and
down the street.
Gleaming bodyguards who are making their way across town back to the house that he's building in town.
You're not gonna pull what's that guy's name? From Lag. Damn, I was trying to make a reference, but I can't even remember.
Oh, Akadia?
Akadia, yeah. Not gonna pull Akadia here.
No.
I mean, unless this guy's a secret demi-lich, he's just one false step away from getting blasted out of this campaign.
But he hasn't.
I'm no dysfunctional Lag party. I'm a 9th level wizard, Neal.
I am aware. But he hasn't done anything worth being killed over, right? He's just kind of annoying.
No. Well, if he shows up in my living room with Spearman again, like that's what I was like. If he's like a actual representative of Hearthhome, that's like an act of war. And
yeah.
So like, do I need to send a letter to Hearthhome saying one of their representatives has shown up in my house with Spearman, and ask for them to discipline him, or he'll face Nekkraut's justice? But
no representative.
Like just merchant disappear in a ditch in the Red Hills, and no one will mourn.
Well, we'll have to see if he crosses you again. And I think with that, we can wrap up today's session. You can get back to the tower with your apprentices, put away your gemstones if you want to put them away, or you could have them fashioned into a necklace that you can wear everywhere you go. I don't know if that is a dangerous idea, though.
Why is it dangerous? I think for now we'll put them away. Eventually these will be... I don't know what other magical properties they might have, but eventually I think these will be components in his divine mantle, elemental robes, but we're many levels away from crafting permanent magic items.
Maybe you should magic jar him and take over his body and see how people react to him when he approaches them.
Oh, does one of my apprentices suggest that, or is this just the dark recesses of my subconscious?
It's Atropos's voice hanging around in your head from all those years of training.
And she's like incepting all sorts of terrible, perverted things I could do while I'm controlling his body and just sully his reputation.
Well, that's for another time. I do believe we're being told by people that last time we were going to level up, but maybe we should save that for the start of our next session now that we've sort of come back into the area, refamiliarized ourselves with what's going on.
I feel like plane shifting, time skipping, elemental summoning. This is worth...
It's definitely worth some levels.
A level or
few.
I don't know that we're really getting... Like, we're level 9. We jumped to level 9 because that opens up consumable magic items, and level 5 spells are pretty epic. I don't think I even get new spell levels until level 12. So we're probably like, maybe we'll go to 10 or 11, but that just gets more spell slots, which is good.
And MP, which is nice. Yeah.
Yep. And then we have warrior levels to catch up, I guess, but I don't really know if we're doing much to warrant warrior XP.
Probably not. Yeah. Well, we can deal with these things next time we play Dicing with Death, which will hopefully be sooner than 4 months. Most likely.
I think weekends are okay for me, but you usually have campaign on Saturdays?
Yeah, Sundays. It's always on Sundays now. And once a month, I have a thing on Saturdays. So I've got something next Saturday. But I could do the 12th or the 19th. Probably the 19th.
Do another Saturday soon. I think I have plans one of those weekends. Which one's the holiday weekend? It might be the 19th that I have.
You have plans on the 19th?
Yeah. I got friends visiting that weekend.
Okay. So let's aim for the 12th then.
Yeah. Should work tentatively. I'll need to
yeah, I need to solidify
discuss this with my mistress of coin
and
such things.
I have to check in with the true supreme powers.
Your winter gods?
The winter gods, yes. The icy winter gods. And that will do us for the day. So we'll be back hopefully in 2 weeks with some more Devon and Dicing with Death.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.